Chapter 206. I'm here. Appearing in a luxurious hall, Donghua Shui Ying's eyes were filled with killing intent. Without any hesitation, he immediately used the true meaning of star, gravity domain. The true meaning of star contained the profound mysteries of the laws of star. With Donghua Shui Ying as the center, everything within 50 kilometers of him, regardless of whether it was in the sky or on the ground. Boom! The terrifying gravity descended. In a secret room of the Demon Palace, this was the place where the magic formation was monitored. There were 2 rank 3 demons keeping watch here, and there would be other rank 3 demons taking turns every day. This elite demon team was considered very cautious. They had sent their subordinates to watch over the formation. Once there was any movement, they would immediately report to their superiors. The first time Shui Ying used his extreme piercing to forcefully penetrate into the array, the 2 demons sensed it. What's going on? There's movement? The 2 of them didn't even have the time to investigate carefully, nor did they have the time to report to the rank 5 Abyss Devils. They didn't even have the time to inform the heart-linking Abyss Devils before the terrifying gravity domain descended. Shui Ying consecutively displayed his extreme piercing twice, and it only took an instant for him to do so. Following that, the true meaning of star descended. According to the internal rules of the demon army, were they sure that there was an invasion? Were they attacked? In any case, once they were sure, they would immediately report to their superiors and inform the heart-linking demon. The heart-linking demon did not hesitate to inform their general. However, Donghua Shui Ying was too fast. He was so fast that the 2 demons did not even have time to think. Following that, there was no need for them to think anymore. Boom! The terrifying gravity instantly enveloped the entire demon palace. Even the formation was shrouded. Pung, pung, pung. The entire demon palace instantly exploded. The sturdy stones and even the extravagant demon palace that was constructed with spells were completely disintegrated. Under this force of gravity, ordinary matter could no longer maintain its normal form, and even the most basic composition began to collapse. The 2 evil demons in charge of monitoring the spell formation also widened their eyes. Their evil demon bodies were extremely tough, and their scales were still intact. However, large amounts of blood still gushed out of their mouths and sprayed out from the gaps between their scales. Their most fatal parts, the insides of their skulls, were also turned into mush by this terrifying gravity. Even though the 2 demons died instantly, their bodies still flew up. Under the influence of the gravitational force, they flew towards Shui Ying at a frightening speed. This is what? In every corner of the demon palace, the demons were either sleeping, eating, cultivating, or training, including the weak heart-linking demon. Either way, under the sudden gravitational pull, although their demonic bodies were tough enough to withstand some extraordinary Saint-Tier weapons, their flesh and skulls were much weaker than scales, claws, and teeth, and simply could not withstand the terrifying gravity domain. Their flesh was torn apart, and their blood was directly sucked out of their bodies. The insides of their skulls were completely turned into mush. Their bodies left the ground and were being sucked towards Donghua Shui Ying at a terrifying speed. Donghua Shui Ying was originally standing on the ground of the hall. However, everything around him started to crumble, and he was now floating in the air. Within 100 miles, many of the tools that were used to set up the formation started to crumble. Some were still in good condition. As for the ordinary soil and rocks, they had completely crumbled. The corpses of the demons flew towards Donghua Shui Ying. Those that could maintain their corpses were at least of the 3rd rank. As for the weaker demons, even their corpses were completely destroyed. Transcendence of the Xia people. Among the demons that were sucked over, there were 5 who were lucky enough to survive. They stood in mid-air, resisting the gravity. They had all trained their bodies to the highest level, and they had the undying body. Among the transcendents, it was extremely difficult to achieve the undying body. Even for the demigods of the Xia people, it was extremely difficult. However, the talents of the demons were too strong. Their bodies were even stronger than the bodies of the primordial bloodlines. At the Saint Realm, there were those who had trained their bodies to the undying body stage. Their bodies were so strong that even the insides of their skulls would only suffer minor injuries. Furthermore, the injuries would naturally recover at the same time. Some of the transcendent materials and the corpses of the demons flew towards Dongbua Shui Ying at high speed. Dongbua Shui Ying stood in midair, right in the middle. Freeze! Dongbua Shui Ying chanted coldly. Transcendent Do Qi surged out of his body, and the fiery red Do Qi formed a spherical barrier around him. The surface of the spherical barrier was imbued with the true meaning of stars, causing this seemingly weak Do Qi barrier to be as sturdy as the stars. One after another, the demon corpses and transcendent items slammed into the spherical barrier. However, the thick surface of the barrier did not even budge. Keep! Dongbua Shui Ying waved his hands, and the transcendent materials were kept. Some of these materials were used to set up arrays, while others were the personal weapons and storage treasures of the demons. Glancing at the tattered corpses of the demons, Dongbua Shui Ying snorted coldly. The original attractive force turned into a repulsive force. Boom, boom, boom. These corpses were like cannonballs, flying in all directions at high speed. The true meaning of stars, gravity domain, only had two directions. One was to be attracted by Dongbua Shui Ying. The other was to be repelled by Dongbua Shui Ying. So powerful, standing afar in midair, regardless of whether it was the attractive force or the repulsive force. The five of them were still standing in midair. Their bodies only swayed slightly. Who would have thought that he would be able to break the array so easily? Furthermore, with just a single move, those who had not trained in the undying body were all killed. The black-robed demon transmitted. Everyone, be careful. This Xia people transcendence must not be underestimated. It's a pity that even Bai Lin died. The red-horned demon transmitted. Bai Lin was also a rank 5 demon, but his body had not been trained to the undying body stage. His death this time was truly unjust. Initially, they had 3 rank 5 demons and a few rank 4 demons, with a single gravity domain from Dongbua Shui Ying. A large number of them were wiped out. Only 2 rank 5 demons and 3 rank 4 demons were left. Only the 5 of you are left. Dongbua Shui Ying swept his gaze across, and a fiery red spear appeared in his hand. The spear shaft seemed to have fiery clouds revolving around it, and the spearhead was as dazzling as the stars. It was the demigod weapon, Stellar Fire Cloud Spear. To a saint, a demigod weapon was still rather useful. However, Dongbua Shui Ying currently had the strength of a veteran demigod. Thus, the usefulness of a demigod weapon was greatly reduced. Only a demigod weapon would be able to raise his strength to the next level. Thus, he continued to use the Stellar Fire Cloud Spear. He liked the sharpness of this spear. You're Dongbua Shui Ying, right? The red-horned demon stood in the distance. Both of his hands were equipped with malevolent claws. Wu Lang. Dongbua Shui Ying's gaze landed on him. The one who killed Sister Ling Shu is you, right? Your Tranquil Sun Province's Chung Ling Shu? Wu Lang sneered. That's right. It's me. I'm the one who killed a transcendent from the Xia people. She was also a transcendent mage, and she had almost escaped from me. However, I still killed her. Today you will die here. What you displayed earlier was the true meaning of gravity, right? Since you could sneak in, you should have grasped some other strange true meaning, right? The true meaning of gravity was a grade 3 true meaning. It could be considered a branch of the true meaning of star. What's the point of saying so much nonsense? All 5 of you will die. Dongbua Shui Ying wielded his spear and swept his gaze across the 5 of them. All 5 of them were demons who possessed undying bodies. His darts could not kill them, so he had to fight them in close combat. As for the other 3 rank 4 demons, they were not worth mentioning. Only the 2 rank 5 demons might require some time. Kill. Another black-robed demon suddenly carried a row of scimitars on his back. They looked like fans, and there were a total of 19 scimitars. With a wave of his hand, hua hua hua, immediately, The scimitars flew out one after another, bringing with them strange undulations. Every single scimitar flew in a strange trajectory, making it hard to judge. They completely defied the laws of flight, and their speed was terrifyingly fast. At this moment, this black-robed demon was like a huge spider. The scimitars were like spider webs controlled by him, enveloping Dongbua Shuang. As he moved, the other 4 demons also moved to surround Shuang. Dongbua Shuang coldly snorted. His gravity domain descended once again. The surrounding space began to distort. Shua! The crimson-horned demon abruptly appeared by Dongbua Shuang's side. The spatial ceiling array had been broken. Even though the surrounding space was distorted, the strongest demon in this demon palace, Wu Lang, could still teleport. His huge claws, which were made of weapons, clawed at Dongbua Shuang. Wherever his claws went, the surrounding space began to shatter. Chapter 207. At this moment, the demons cooperated perfectly, especially the 2 most powerful rank 5 demons. The crimson-horned demon and the black-clothed demon controlled 19 scimitars and attacked Dongbua Shuang simultaneously. Dongbua Shuang stood calmly in midair, his eyes filled with unconcealed killing intent. Shua! He took a step forward, and his figure pierced through space, appearing in midair hundreds of meters away. Originally, he was surrounded by 5 demons, and they were very close to him. But now, Dongbua Shuang used extreme piercing and appeared in a different direction. At this moment, the 5 demons were all in front of him. Die! Rumble! Dongbua Shuang extended his right hand, and a dazzling fiery red radiance burst out from his palm. The surging fiery red transcendent battle chi formed a huge pillar of light, fanning out towards his left. The true meaning of extreme piercing shrouded this huge, fiery red pillar of light. Even though its attack range was large, its power was scattered. But it was enough. Imbued with the true meaning of extreme piercing, the fiery red transcendent battle chi spread out in a fan shape at a terrifying speed. Because the distance between them was very short, only the red-horned demon could escape. The other 4 couldn't escape in time. And, although Wu Lang could escape, he did not. It's actually a large area of effect attack. With such a dispersed attack, I want to see how strong it is. If he could not even withstand such a dispersed attack, he might as well admit defeat and commit suicide. This was the best opportunity to observe Dongbua Shuang's strength. Wu Lang used his huge claws to block in front of him. The true meaning of space crushing covered his weapon and his powerful demon body, and he faced the dazzling fiery red light pillar head-on. The 2 true meanings clashed. At the moment of contact, Wu Lang's expression changed. He felt a terrifying law of profound mysteries forcefully suppressing him. Fortunately, it covered an area of 1 to 2 kilometers, and he only suffered a small portion of the attack's power. At this moment, the demonic energy in his body completely erupted, and it was unleashed through the claws of his weapon, bringing with it the true intent of space shattering to resist everything in front of him. It was extremely strenuous to resist. How was this possible? Even a large-scale attack can suppress me? Wu Lang was shocked. If it was a one-on-one, wouldn't I be dead for sure? Wu Lang, who had grasped hold of a grade 3 true meaning, could still defend against a large area of effect attack. However, the other 4 were in a miserable state. The black-robed demon cried out in pain as well. The true meaning of the wave domain on the surface of his body could not withstand the attack at all, and was forcefully penetrated like a sieve. However, the black robe on the surface of his body had completely covered his entire body. That black robe was an extremely powerful defensive demigod treasure, and when necessary, it could completely cover every inch of his body. Although transcendent chi could not forcefully pierce through it, the terrifying penetrative power of the true meaning of extreme piercing. Even with the black robe of the demigod treasure, it was still like the weight of a towering mountain was crashing into his body. His undying body began to break apart, and fresh blood directly spurted out from his mouth. How could he be so powerful? The black-robed demon's eyes were filled with disbelief. This Dongbua Shuang, how could he be so much stronger than us? This Xia people's transcendent is too powerful. Sir Wu Lang, save me. The other 3 rank 4 demons were in the most miserable state. If it was just a point-to-point attack like a dart, it would have instantly pierced through their bodies. Even if their bodies were temporarily destroyed, the terrifying life force contained in every single particle of their bodies would naturally recover. Such injuries might be severe, but it was much more severe than having their hearts pierced through. However, the regenerative power of their undying body would still allow them to use it 8 to 10 times. But it was different now. This large-scale attack by Dongbua Shuang this time was mainly targeted at these 3 rank 4 demons. That majestic and thick light pillar swept over in a fan shape. Transcendent Qi was actually very scattered. To Dongbua Shuang, the might of peak Saint Qi was too weak. He mainly relied on the terrifying might of the true meaning of extreme piercing. The transcendent Qi was merely a carrier of the true meaning. Hoo, the fiery red pillar of light crushed the 3 of them. The true intents on the surface of their bodies couldn't even defend against it. They also didn't have a defensive demigod weapon like the black-robed demon, which could cover every part of their body. In an instant, their undying bodies completely disintegrated. At the same time, the terrifying life force of every particle that started to disintegrate rapidly recovered. However, the most fundamental particles that formed their bodies were continuously being destroyed by the laws and profound mysteries of the true meaning of extreme piercing. The fiery red light pillar continued pushing forward for a full second. It only stopped when Dongbua Shuang could no longer sense the aura of the 3 rank 4 demons. Because of the fan-shaped shockwave, the enormous fiery red pillar of light had already expanded to a diameter of 3 to 4 kilometers. Only after it had been pushed far away did it rapidly fly back. This transcendent Qi was now flying back to Shuang. This transcendent Qi took up about 20% of the total Qi in his body. Of course, it had to be retracted. Using this technique relied on the might of his true meaning. The consumption of his true meaning was negligible. This was a large-scale attack. 3 rank 4 demons died. Shua. The moment Dongbua Shuang finished this technique, he used his extreme piercing and appeared in front of the black-clothed demon. The spear in his hand, that looked like it was surrounded by a cloud of fire, pierced towards the demon. The black-clothed demon was so frightened that he continued to hide under the protection of his black robe. The black robe covered every part of his body, the material of a demigod weapon. Even Dongbua Shuang could not destroy it. The spear pierced the black robe with terrifying penetrative force. The penetrative force passed through the robe and into the body of the black-clothed demon. In an instant, the demon's body was completely destroyed. However, this was only the destruction of his scales, muscles, and bones. It was not at the level of particles. This kind of injury, even if he was hit 100 or 1,000 times, his undying body would still be able to recover. What should I do? What should I do? Do I have to hide in the defensive deity weapon forever? But if this continues, my life force will be exhausted sooner or later. The black-clothed demon was anxious. However, he only dared to hide in the black robe and did not dare to show his face. Without any hesitation, Dongbua Shuang stabbed out with his spear a second time. The moment the spear stabbed out, it suddenly disappeared. When the spear reappeared, it was already inside the body of the black-clothed demon. The spear's true meaning of extreme piercing's laws of profound mysteries instantly destroyed his body, causing every single particle of his body to start disintegrating. How is this possible? The black-clothed demon was extremely frightened. How could my darkness divine robe not be able to block it? Extreme piercing. It could penetrate through everything. It was able to forcefully penetrate through both space and matter before appearing inside the body of the enemy. However, when the spear appeared and descended, it would be repelled by the black robe on the material plane. After all, If it did not repel the black robe, the spear would have to pierce through it on the material plane before it could enter the body of the black-clothed demon. Thus, the moment the spear appeared, the spear and the black robe collided against each other on the material plane. For safety's sake, Dongbua Shuiying stuck the spear's tip on the black robe. The spear's tip was formed from the deity world star stone. It was famous for its toughness and sharpness. Even without any spirit arrays, it was already comparable to a mid-grade demigod weapon. At this moment, the spear's tip easily won the contest on the material plane. Its material composition was still intact. However, at the spot where it pierced through, the material of the black robe was pushed away, causing a wound to appear. This was extreme piercing. Wanting to rely on a demigod weapon to protect his entire body and survive? What a joke. One's own strength was the most reliable. Either one's body was strong enough to withstand the attack, or one's true meaning was strong enough to resist the true meaning of extreme piercing. Otherwise, only death awaited. It was actually pierced through. Wu Lang, who was scared out of his wits by the transcendent battle chi shockwave, was about to teleport away. However, he shockingly discovered that Dongbua Shuiying's spear had actually pierced through the darkness divine robe. After all, he was still fleeing. If one observed carefully, one would realize that the spear had actually pierced through the body of the black-clothed demon. It was the compression of the laws of profound mysteries that caused the deity world star stone and the black robe to compete on the material plane. Ultimately, this horrifying result, piercing through a demigod weapon. Chapter 208. A hole appeared on the demigod robe, and the runes on it were damaged. Its power was greatly reduced. Transcendent battle chi exploded from a spear, and with a pung, the robe was blown away. The devil's body was completely destroyed, and the particles were trying their best to recover. Escape. Dongbua Shuiying ignored the devil and looked at Wu Lang, who was teleporting away. Dongbua Shuiying's gravity domain caused the space around him to distort. It was extremely difficult to teleport in such an environment. Furthermore, a normal teleportation distance was already very short. Even an expert would be able to teleport tens of li. Under such circumstances, Wu Lang could only teleport 5 to 6 li. After the previous large area of effect attack, Dongbua Shuiying did not hesitate to use extreme piercing and appeared in front of the devil. He only used 2 spear strikes. The second spear strike pierced through the demigod robe. How short was that? In that short period of time, Wu Lang had only teleported 6 times and was already more than 30 li away. South, with a step, Dongbua Shuiying appeared in front of Wu Lang. Extreme piercing could cover a distance of 100 li. At the same time, the spear in his hand pierced forward. Facing this terrifying spear strike, Wu Lang was stunned. At Dongbua Shuiying's level, the speed of his spear strike was terrifying. At such a close distance, Wu Lang did not even have time to think. Instinctively, he immediately used teleportation. Shuachi. Shuiying's spear pierced out. Closely following that, it pierced into the void. Wu Lang had just disappeared, but he reappeared a meter away. However, his devil head was completely pierced. How is this possible? Wu Lang's eyes widened. Teleportation sounded like it was very fast, but in reality, it still consumed time. If the time it consumed was negligible, it would still consume time. For example, when Qi Qiu Bai and Chao Qing were saving the Xia people, they would not tear through space. Instead, they would teleport continuously. The principle of teleportation was to instantly become one with the spatial fluctuations and then follow one of the countless spatial fluctuations to arrive at the desired location. Hence, the speed of teleportation was equivalent to the speed of the space ripples. But extreme piercing could pierce through everything. Even spatial fluctuations could be forcefully pierced through. Since it could penetrate, its speed naturally surpassed the speed of spatial fluctuations. Boom! Wu Lang's body completely shattered. Even his particles were shattered, and he began to recover. Dongbua Shuiying stood at the side and casually fired a shot. Every time the particles recovered, Dongbua Shuiying would shoot out with his spear, causing the particles to shatter again. Wu Lang's undying body's life force was continuously depleted. How is this possible? I have already escaped into the void, but he can actually pierce through the void to kill me? Wu Lang's soul was attached to every single particle, and he could still think. What is this true meaning? He was a powerful Tier 5 demon. However, in a vast abyss, he was still just a pawn. The information that he could obtain could not even compare to the information that the Xia people had received from the Serene Shrine and their ancestors. After all, he only lived in that territory and followed the general to fight against the outside world, so the number of demons he came into contact with was limited. He couldn't even come into contact with the truly monstrous abyss devils. Am I going to die? Wu Lang could feel that the life force of every single particle of his body, the most basic composition of his life, was constantly weakening. That human transcendence stood there. Every time his life particles recovered, he would strike with his spear. Who would have thought that I would ultimately die in the hands of a saint from a mortal world? I remember that his name is Dongbua Shuang. Wu Lang's life force continued to decline. The countless particles were trying their best to recover, wanting to reform into the body of a demon. At this moment, an indignant roar could be heard from the void. What is this true meaning? What is this true meaning? Die! Shuang thrusted out his 8th spear. This was not a large-scale attack like before. Instead, he condensed his true power into his spear technique, and every single strike was extremely powerful. When the 8th spear was thrusted out, the life force of those particles was finally exhausted, and they could no longer recover. This demon's body completely disappeared, leaving behind only some demigod equipment and other items. This was because every stab had to wait for the particles to recover before attacking again. Hence, killing Wu Lang took about a second. The earth-shattering fiery red, transcendent battle chi had also flown to the front of Dongbua Shuang. Because of the large-scale attack earlier, it took some time for the battle chi to return. Now that the battle chi had returned, it flowed into Dongbua Shuang's body. He is quite fast at escaping. Dongbua Shuang looked at the black-robed demon who had turned into a beam of light and fled at high speed. Under my gravity domain, he was actually able to fly for 30 li. In a second, if he had teleported, he would have long escaped from Dongbua Shuang's 50 li gravity domain. However, the black-robed demon was unable to teleport within the gravity domain. He could only fly with all his might. Under the terrifying gravity, he was able to fly a shocking distance of 30 li in a second. But it was useless. Dongbua Shuang was in control of the situation. As long as the black-robed demon was within 50 li, it would always be within his control. If the black-robed demon was really far away, Dongbua Shuang would have already thrown a few darts over. Wu Lang is dead. Wu Lang actually died just like that. His true meaning is too terrifying. It should at least be the legendary grade 2 true meaning. But even a grade 2 true meaning shouldn't be this frightening, right? The black-robed demon fled in panic. His heart was filled with fear. Wu Lang escaped into the void, yet he was still killed by it. My God of Darkness robe was actually pierced through? What true meaning is this? A grade 1 true meaning? If it's a grade 1 true meaning, then it wouldn't be an injustice. A grade 1 true meaning. A legend among legends. It possessed many unfathomable aspects. The extreme piercing that Dongbua Shuang had grasped was only one aspect of the grade 1 true meaning of extremity. If he were to use it while grasping hold of the true meaning of extremity, he would be even more terrifying than the current Dongbua Shuang. For instance, the extreme piercing that Dongbua Shuang had formed with water, fire, and wind was 30% weaker than the extreme piercing formed with the 4 elements of earth, fire, water, and wind. Thus, the extreme piercing could still be improved. The complete, true meaning of extremity was only one aspect of piercing. There were still many other aspects. It was just that it was too difficult. Being known as the end of everything, the beginning of everything, grasping the true meaning of extremity, was a legend in the countless worlds. Of course, amongst the grade 2 true meanings, the true meaning of extreme piercing was a pure offensive true meaning. Its offensive capabilities were indeed terrifying, but no grade 2 true meaning could be underestimated. They all had their own strengths. You still want to escape? Dongbo Shui Ying's voice suddenly rang. The black-robed demon turned his head and saw Dongbo Shui Ying appearing behind him. His malevolent demon face was twisted with fear. Terror filled this rank 5 demon's heart. Pooh! With just a single spear strike, the black-robed demon's body disintegrated. Dongbo Shui Ying calmly stood in midair, waiting for the particles to recover. Every time they recovered, he would stab out with his spear. Every spear strike was filled with killing intent, hatred, and anger. Sister Ling Shu, Brother Zhong Tu, Brother Ba Ming, I've avenged all of you. Dongbo Shui Ying's emotions were boiling. His eyes were slightly moist. These good friends of many years had all been ambushed and killed in the past few days. These rank 5 demons he had killed were all active in the 5 northern provinces. Other than Sister Ling Shu and the other 2, there were many other transcendent friends he had drunk with in the other provinces. Even though his relationship with them was not as deep as Sister Ling Shu and the others, every single one of them was drinking and laughing with him. His extraordinary memory allowed Dongbo Shui Ying to clearly remember every single word they said to him, as well as their expressions when they spoke. We, the Xia people, will never forget your sacrifices. Dongbo Shui Ying's final spear strike caused the black-robed demon's body to completely dissipate. He could no longer recover. Sila. The spatial membrane was torn apart. The black-robed teenager walked into the chaotic spatial layer. Si Kong Yang, Qiu Qi Bai, and Mountain Lord he quickly rushed over. How is it? Have we been exposed? Qiu Qi Bai asked. If they were to be exposed to the demon generals, the other 4 demon bases would most likely retreat. Chapter 209. It shouldn't have been exposed. Dongbo Shui Ying said. Shouldn't have. Qiu Qi Bai, Si Kong Yang, and Mountain Lord he hesitated. Dongbo Shui Ying explained, I instantly killed all the weaker demons, but there were still 3 rank 4 demons and 2 rank 5 demons that survived. Only after close combat was I able to kill them one by one. I don't know if this heart-linking demon was among the last 5 demons. If he was among them, I'm afraid he would have been exposed. According to the records, the heart-linking demons are very pitiful. They were nurtured by the Abyss demonic god's cruel secret technique, and a large number of weak demons died tragically. Only an extremely small number survived. Qiu Qi Bai laughed. The vitality of demons is extremely strong, but they still died tragically because this cruel secret technique targets the soul. Many of the demons' souls could not withstand it and directly dissipated. Even if they succeeded, there would be a large number of secret technique imprints on their souls. Simply put, their souls have already become a kind of communication device. Once they activate the secret technique imprints on their souls, they would be able to communicate even across different worlds. Although the soul became a communication device, it still caused severe damage to the soul. Qiu Qi Bai said, it is very hard for them to cultivate and become stronger. Mountain Lord he also smiled. The heart-linking demon is almost definitely a rank 1 or 2 weak demon. The possibility of becoming a rank 4 or 5 demon is less than 1 in a million. The possibility of being exposed is extremely low. If we were to be exposed, we can only blame our bad luck. Si Kong Yang patted Dongbo Shui Ying's shoulder. Snow Eagle, good job. At this moment, Si Kong Yang's mood was both happy and complicated. In the past, he was angry at Dongbo Shui Ying for being stubborn in his cultivation, and his care and attention towards him had turned into anger. However, 10 years later, when Dongbo Shui Ying displayed his astonishing talent on the path to heaven, he finally understood his mistake. And now, Dongbo Shui Ying had directly destroyed a demon nest in a minor, transcendent world. Regardless of whether he was exposed or not, the greatest threat to the Xia people's transcendence had already disappeared, because even if he was exposed, the demon generals would be shocked and immediately evacuate the elites of the other 4 demon nests. It's nothing, Dongbua Shuang said. I only sacrificed some time to fight. Sister Lingshu and many others sacrificed their lives. Xiuqi Bai, Si Kong Yang, and Mountain Lord, he were all silent. 20% of the transcendence of the Xia people had died over the years. Whether it was Mountain Lord He's Black-White Deity Mountain or Si Kong Yang's Water Taoist faction, there were many casualties. Many were familiar to them. That's why I've always been proud of being a Xia people. Mountain Lord, he opened his mouth. In the past, he had always been calm and indifferent, but at this moment his eyes shone with a dazzling radiance. It is precisely because so many transcendents were willing to sacrifice themselves for the Xia people that we, the Xia people, were able to become the masters of this mortal world. If not for the generations of transcendents fighting bravely, if not for our ancestors who entered the deity realm and still cherishing our homeland, our Xia people would have long been annihilated. Yes, Shuang nodded. These past few years, he had heard the news of transcendents dying in battle. Every single piece of news was like a knife stabbing into his heart. It also transformed his heart, and he cherished everything in front of him even more. It also made him understand that the reason the Xia people were able to survive to this day was because of the sacrifice of countless Xia people's ancestors. They even sacrificed their lives. If not for the sacrifices of our ancestors, the Xia people would have perished long ago. Perhaps he, Dongbua Shuang, would not have been born. Let's move quickly, Si Kong Yang hastily said. The sooner the better. If the demon general tries to contact the demons in the minor transcendent world but is unable to contact them, that would also expose us. Dongbua Shuang and the rest nodded their heads. Getting rid of a nest was equivalent to getting rid of a group of elite demons. Tier 5 demons were extremely rare. If Zero Wing missed this opportunity, it would be very difficult to come across another one. Let's go to the next location. In the interlayer of space, a group of 4 people shuttled through the void and rushed to another place. Infernal Palace. Palace Lord Chun was currently standing outside the door of his study room. He stood there silently by himself. The others in the Infernal Palace did not know how nervous the Palace Lord was. Palace Lord Chun was waiting for news, for the result. He was afraid that Dongbua Shui Ying's attack would fail. After all, no matter how confident he was, the result would always make him anxious. We must succeed. We must break through the demon's array. Palace Lord Chen's heart was filled with hope. We cannot fail. If we fail, our Xia people will be attacked by the demonic clones of the Tier 5 demons. Every second was so difficult to bear. Palace Lord Chen's forehead was filled with sweat. The lives of half of the Xia people was enough to make him nervous. Suddenly, a piece of news came. Success. The first demon nest has been eliminated. Dongbua Shui Ying's news came. Palace Lord Chun was stunned, followed by ecstasy. Success, success. Ha. That's great. I knew that Dongbua Shui would not let me down. Palace Lord Chun was incomparably excited. Following that, more news came. Old Chun, Snow Eagle, succeeded. And he killed all the weak demons in an instant. The demon generals should not know yet. Dongbua Shui succeeded in eliminating the first demon nest and should not have been exposed. Success, Snow Eagle, is indeed amazing. Palace Lord, we should not have been exposed. Prepare to head to the second nest. The news from Si Kong Yang and the other 2 made Palace Lord Chun even happier. Looks like Snow Eagle's first plan succeeded. Palace Lord Chun was overjoyed. Before this operation, only he and Dongbua Shui had been preparing. He had also heard Dongbua Shui mention 2 plans. The first plan was to eliminate the weak demons at the first moment so that the news would not be leaked. If the formation was too powerful and they could not infiltrate it, they could only use the second plan, a frontal attack. That would definitely be exposed. Very good, it's good that we're not exposed. Kill as many of these demons as possible. Palace Lord Qin's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. These damned demons, how dare they invade the Xia people's world? All of them must be eliminated. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The entire Xia people's world was very peaceful. Although the hidden demons would occasionally sneak attack a few small places, the impact on the entire Xia people's world was negligible. Countless people lived ordinary lives or worked hard for survival or for cultivation, crying for love, hiding for hatred, scheming for ambition. The countless mortals in this world had their own way of living. But while they were living such lives, they did not know that behind the scenes in this world at this moment, currently, there was a transcendent called Ying who, along with 3 other demigods of the Xia clan, were currently attacking demon lairs. Because this time they had succeeded, more transcendents had survived. In the next 1,000 years, the lives of the demons would be even more difficult, and their savagery would be greatly reduced. Hence, the number of mortals that survived was probably in the hundreds of millions. In one of the small transcendent worlds, there was also a demon palace here, where a group of powerful elite demons resided. Among them, their leader was the strongest among all the grade 5 demons that had invaded this time. Demon Jier Luo. Chapter 210. In the depths of the majestic demon palace, within the most luxurious palace hall, the doors had long been shut. On the floor of the palace hall, which was about half a kilometer long, sat a demon in golden armor. His entire body was covered with a layer of crimson scales, and he wore golden armor and golden boots. His closed eyelids were suffused with a faint bloody glow. On his head, a pair of crimson curved horns pierced the sky. While he sat cross-legged and meditated, the 2 Tier 4 demons serving him inside the hall did not dare to make a sound. Because Jier Luo's status was too high, even the demon generals would treat him as an equal when interacting with him. He had grasped hold of 2 grade 3 true meanings, one of which had reached the stage 2 realm. What was certain was that as long as he spent some time, he would definitely become a demigod. Furthermore, with his talent, he would be able to fight against the other demon generals very quickly after becoming a demigod. The moment one of his true meanings reached the stage 3 realm, his combat power would be ranked at the top amongst the demon generals. After all, there was a huge difference between grasping hold of a grade 3 true meaning and grasping hold of 2. As long as he was given time to grow, he would definitely become an existence standing at the peak of the demon generals. Naturally, his status was special. The other rank 5 demons would have to be respectful in front of him. Even now, he had the combat power of an experienced demigod. Jier Luo opened his eyes. His blood-colored pupils were filled with a terrifying killing intent. He stood up. It's really boring to stay in this minor, transcendent world. Jier Luo swept his gaze across the empty palace hall with a trace of impatience in his eyes. He knew that the 5 demon generals wanted him to stay in the minor transcendent world because they were afraid that he would be killed by the demigods of the Xia people in the mortal world. After all, the demons were currently at a disadvantage. Every bit of power had to be cherished. Jier Luo would most likely have the combat power of a demon general in another 1 or 200 years. Thus, he was ordered to stay in the safest minor transcendent world. Just 5 kilometers away from Jier Luo, in another ordinary palace hall in the demon palace, there were no demons here. After all, the entire demon palace occupied an area of 50 kilometers. There were a total of dozens of demons here. Naturally, many places were empty. A mysterious and vast power descended. Although the evil magic array had sealed off the space here, in the face of this mysterious and vast power, the so-called evil magic array was like an ant in front of a deity. The gap between the two was unimaginably large, and it could not affect this power in the slightest. Suddenly, 5 figures appeared out of thin air. There's a newbie? How troublesome. This is a difficult mission, and there's actually a newbie. A man whose body seemed to be made of black metal glanced at the corner, and then transmitted his voice to a handsome young man beside him. Big brother, should we get rid of him first? Our mission is very dangerous, and this newbie doesn't know anything. I'm afraid that he will ruin our mission. Although the temple will punish us if we get rid of him, we can bear it. At the same time, his other two companions also received his voice transmission. This newbie is quite handsome. I really can't bear to part with him. A succubus girl licked her scarlet lips. I don't agree. The red-robed woman sent a voice transmission. This mission is very dangerous. This newbie was actually chosen by the temporal temple to join us, so his strength is definitely not weak. As long as we use him well, he will be a force to be reckoned with. You guys should understand, if we are careless in this mission, more than half of us will die here. Big brother, what do you think? The black metal man looked at the handsome young man. This newbie appeared here and only calmly observed us. He did not panic at all. Such calmness. I feel that we should temporarily become teammates. The handsome young man transmitted his voice. Their small team quickly came to a decision. The handsome young man smiled and said, "My name is Lai Hua. I believe that you have already received the message that the temporal temple left for you. That's right, you have been chosen by the temporal temple. From today onwards, you will be one of the members of the temporal temple that roams the billions of worlds." Temporal temple? That newbie was a purple-robed young man with long and narrow eyes. The corner of his mouth curled into a smile. I never thought that I would be so unlucky to be forcefully captured by the temporal temple. I've always heard that the members of the temporal temple roam the various worlds, even the deity world and the dark abyss. But to actually be chosen, it still feels very uncomfortable. Now that space-time has been locked, we have a period of preparation time. During this period of preparation, we will be absolutely safe. The flow of time here is very fast, while the flow of time in the outside world is relatively still. The handsome young man said, "Let's cut the crap and have a simple chat. First, tell me, your name or code name is fine too. Name? Since I have been chosen by the temporal temple, my name is already a thing of the past. You can call me Blade Demon," the purple-robed young man said. Blade Demon? The handsome young man nodded slightly. The members of the temporal temple usually use code names, and very few use their real names. This was because it was rumored that some powerful gods and devils could obtain a lot of information through their real names. They roamed the countless worlds and experienced too much danger. Therefore, no matter how cautious they were, it was never excessive. I want to ask you how strong you are. The handsome young man said indifferently, "I'm afraid that you won't honestly tell me all your methods anyway. Since you have the qualifications to participate in this mission, your strength is definitely not weak. When the time comes, you will act according to the circumstances. After all, you are a newbie and don't have any space-time points. Once the mission fails, you will fall into hell, and you will have to undergo 3 consecutive hellish missions. You must succeed in every mission. As long as you fail or die again, your soul will be destroyed." I understand. I will definitely do my best to help you. The purple-robed Blade Demon said, "This mission is of the hard difficulty. As a newbie, I do not wish to attempt the even harder hell difficulty. Furthermore, I do not wish to attempt it 3 times in a row." The hellish difficulty mission had a slim chance of survival. 3 times in a row, just thinking about it made one's heart turn cold. Very good. The handsome young man said, "Let's first talk about the basic situation of this mission. Mission difficulty, hard difficulty. It is 1 level lower than the hellish difficulty. Under normal circumstances, half of us would die. However, we have made preparations this time. As long as we cooperate well, there is still hope for us to survive. Mission objective: protect the demon Ji Er Luo from the pursuit of the Xia people's transcendent Dongbua Shuang. Survive for a day and send him safely into the mortal world of the Xia people." Mission background: the rank 5 demon Ji Er Luo led 2 other rank 5 demons and many other elite demons to build a demon nest. They are waiting for an opportunity to send their magic doppelgangers into the Xia people's world to attack. As for the Xia people's transcendent Dongbua Shuang, He is about to kill his way into this small transcendent world alone to kill all the demons. The handsome young man said, "The mission seems simple, but remember, the mission description is Luo is leading 2 other rank 5 demons. In the dark abyss, the strong are respected. Since Luo is able to lead the other 2 rank 5 demons, then his strength must surpass ordinary rank 5 demons. My guess is that he should have the strength of a demigod. I'm afraid he is not just at the threshold of demigod." The succubus girl laughed. "I live in the dark abyss. Rank 5 demons are very strong. Among them, there are many who have the strength of a demigod. He can lead them. I'm afraid there will be a qualitative difference between them and ordinary rank 5 demons." The handsome young man nodded. "He is very strong and is leading so many demons. Moreover, he is in his own lair. However, the mission to protect him is actually a hard difficulty. I can only say that this Xia people's transcendent Dongbua Shui Ying is very scary." Chapter 211. "I have also received this mission notification," the handsome teenager said. The purple-robed blade demon listened attentively. The members of the temporal temple roamed the billions of worlds and encountered all sorts of dangers. If they did not receive any mission notification, it would be difficult for them to complete the mission. And if they were strong enough, they would be nurtured by the temporal temple. The temple would not be willing to let them die so easily. Thus, there would be a mission notification. To be able to receive a mission notification meant that this handsome teenager was extremely powerful. The mission notification is, "The Xia people's transcendent Dongbua Shui Ying has grasped the true meaning of extreme piercing." The handsome teenager revealed a smile. The name Dongbua Shui Ying had given him was exactly the same as the one the deity world had given him. Extreme piercing? Is it related to the legendary grade 1 true meaning of extremity? The purple-robed teenager asked. The black metal construct male sneered. Of course it's related. Extreme piercing is a branch of the true meaning of extremity. It is a grade 2 true meaning, and it is an offensive true meaning. If not for Big Brother, all of us would have died in this mission. It's almost impossible for us Saint-class transcendents to survive under the true meaning of extreme piercing. Very powerful? The purple-robed blade demon was puzzled. How powerful? He had never heard of it before. Extreme piercing is even faster than teleportation. Don't even think of using teleportation to escape. The black metal construct man said coldly. It is able to break through the dual obstructions of space and matter. Even if you are wearing a demigod battle armor, you will not be able to escape. Even if you are wearing a demigod battle armor, it can still enter your body. Your defenses are useless. Furthermore, because it is an offensive true meaning, its offensive power is much stronger than ordinary grade 2 true meanings. In a real battle, this Dongbua Shui Ying can appear in front of us instantly and disintegrate our bodies with a single move. Even an undying body is useless. This kind of destruction is on the particle level. Even an undying body cannot withstand more than a few moves. The black metal construct male looked at the purple-robed blade demon. This blade demon was stunned. It was too frightening. A grade 2 true meaning was a legendary true meaning. A purely offensive grade 2 true meaning was even more frightening. The handsome youth replied, "We have already paid a huge price to prepare a spell formation, so that this Xia people transcendent cannot force his way through. If we don't stop him, we'll only be defeated one by one. We also have a detailed plan for this mission. When the time comes, you just have to act according to the situation. Our preparation time is almost up. Luo will soon discover us." Buzz, the surrounding space-time began to fluctuate, and the flow of time in the area they were in began to converge with the flow of time in the outside world. In the Demon Palace, Luo's expression suddenly changed. He could sense a powerful aura fluctuation coming from one of the regions within the Demon Palace. Intruder. Enemy. It must be the transcendent Xia people. The first to discover it were the two rank 3 demons in charge of monitoring the magic array. The magic array enveloped the entire demon palace, including a large area around it. The news was immediately sent to the heart-linking demon. A fat demon was eating and drinking to his heart's content when he suddenly received the news. He couldn't help but be surprised. There's an enemy? This fat demon immediately activated his demonic energy, activating the secret runes on his soul. Buzz, at that moment, the reaction of his soul rapidly increased, allowing him to sense another heart-linking demon beside the general. He immediately reported, a transcendent from the Xia people is attacking. At the same time, the heart-linking demon reported, Hong, Hong, Hong. Jier Luo immediately turned into a stream of light, charging towards the source of the aura fluctuation. A distance of several kilometers was too short for him. With a single glance, he saw 5 existences emitting auras standing on the plaza. With a single glance, he was slightly startled. MN? Succubus? Are they from the metal race? With a glance, Jier Luo discovered that one of the 5 figures was a succubus from his Abyss demon clan, while the other black metallic male was an extremely rare metal race life form. Regardless, since they had appeared in his territory, Jier Luo did not hesitate to send out a punch. Hong, his fist was dazzling. Countless golden lights gathered on his fist, causing a mysterious transformation to take place. That fist carried a terrifying power that could destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth. It tore through everything that stood in its way, and its speed was astonishingly fast. In practically an instant, it blasted over. Its power was so great that, at the very least, it had already reached the level of a veteran demigod. Jier Luo, don't be in such a hurry to act. We aren't your enemies. A strange fluctuation was transmitted directly into Jier Luo's mind. At the same time, the handsome youth smiled and sent out a punch. Black flame Do Chi flew out from his fist, directly colliding with Jier Luo's frightening fist. Pung! When the two powers collided, a powerful shockwave immediately spread out in all directions, shattering the ground and causing the surrounding walls of the hall to collapse. The handsome youth, who was at a close distance from the shockwave, floated backwards and landed on the ground. Jier Luo let out a groan. After landing on the ground, he clutched his chest and revealed a pained expression. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He looked at the handsome youth in shock, because his body had reached the stage 2 realm of the true meaning of golden brilliance. It was extremely tyrannical. No matter how many ordinary rank 5 demons attacked him, he would dare to use his body to withstand it without suffering any injuries. However, in just a single exchange, he was actually injured. Of course, with the undying body, he could immediately recover, so this kind of injury did not affect him much. Kill. Just as the two of them exchanged blows, the other 2 rank 5 demons and the rest of the demons arrived. Oomph. The red-robed lady by the side coldly snorted. Suddenly, a majestic magic power activated the boundless heaven and earth energy. Although these demons could control the heaven and earth energy, at this moment, they could not compete with this red-robed lady. In an instant, red lotuses suddenly grew in many areas of the palace that occupied an area of 50 kilometers. These red lotuses abruptly wrapped around the demons that were flying over. In an instant, the 2 rank 5 demons and the rest of the demons were all wrapped by the red lotuses, and for a moment, they were unable to struggle out. So strong, Jier Luo's expression changed slightly. This red-robed lady was a transcendent mage. Furthermore, she was an extremely terrifying mage. In terms of strength, she might not be any weaker than him. If we were to make a move, Jier Luo, you might still be able to struggle a little. However, your subordinates would probably be dead by now. The handsome young man smiled as he extended his arm, revealing his smooth forearm. On the skin of his forearm, there was a strange pattern. Looking at this pattern, one would feel as though they had fallen into an endless space-time whirlpool, causing one's heart to palpitate. Temporal Temple? Luo was shocked. You are reincarnators of the Temporal Temple? However, his hostility had already been greatly reduced. In the countless worlds, in the dark abyss, in the deity world, there were truly peak powers. For example, the Temporal Temple and the Bloodshed Tavern. The existences behind them all stood at the peak of all the worlds. The mighty existence behind the Temporal Temple was known as the strongest existence in the world of space-time. Even the laws of the material world could not stop that existence. Thus, he was able to capture countless people and put them through countless tempering. He would eliminate the weak and leave behind the strong. Furthermore, he would prepare the best cultivation methods and environment. The reason why those who were chosen were called reincarnators was because every mission they took was filled with the danger of death. Some of them almost died. Every mission was like a cycle of life and death. Thus, they were called reincarnators. This sort of selection, this resulted in the strength of the Temporal Temple being very strong. Naturally, they were one of the peak powers in the countless worlds. Actually, the Bloodshed Tavern, which was comparable to the Temporal Temple, as well as the other peak powers, all had their own terrifying aspects. However, in immortal worlds, the other great powers were at a disadvantage. This was because the mortal worlds belonged to the material world. Deities could not directly descend. Relying on their world projection? Too weak. Relying on their deity avatars? The price was too high. It was extremely difficult to send some treasures into the mortal worlds. However, the Temporal Temple could easily enter the mortal worlds, of course, under the tacit agreement of the various powers. The Temporal Temple was forbidden from building their own temples in the countless mortal worlds. Another example was the Bloodshed Tavern. They had their own branches in the countless mortal worlds. However, they were forbidden from spreading their religion. Why are you reincarnators of the Temporal Temple getting involved? Luo frowned and shouted. The missions of the Temporal Temple's reincarnators were for them to undergo life and death tempering. Sometimes they would help one side, and sometimes they would help the other. The Temporal Temple had even arranged for their own reincarnators to help two opposing sides in a fight. Help you? The handsome youth sneered. You still don't understand? If we wanted to act, we would have done it long ago. You should understand that you are not our match. Luo's expression changed, but he nodded slightly. I believe you. Help me? What do I need your help for? Red Leaf, have you finished setting up the arrays? The handsome youth looked at the red-robed lady beside him. She was a companion with similar strength to him, and he trusted her the most. The arrays that prevent spatial penetration have been set up, the red-robed lady said. She had already started setting up the arrays with the help of the red lotuses that covered the entire demon palace. The other arrays will require some time. Hurry up. Dongbua Shui Ying should be arriving soon. The handsome youth urged. Dongbua Shuang? Luo was slightly uncertain. Are you talking about the Xia people's transcendent Dongbua Shuang? Yes. The handsome youth nodded. But this Xia people's transcendent only has the strength of a rank 5 demon. Why would he come to my place? Luo frowned. In the middle layer of space. Dongbua Shuang, Qiu Qi Bai, Mountain Lord He, and Si Kong Yang tore through the void and arrived outside the membrane of a minor transcendent world. This is the third one. Dongbua Shuang looked at the huge world membrane in front of him. Just now, he had already swept through the second demon nest. Everything went smoothly. Although a rank 5 demon tore through space and tried to escape, Qiu Qi Bai and the other 2 demigods were guarding the corresponding area outside. He had walked right into their trap. I'm going in. Dongbua Shuang smiled and tore through the spatial membrane. Be careful, Qiu Qi Bai reminded. Don't be careless just because everything went smoothly. I understand. Dongbua Shuang took a step forward and entered the minor transcendent world, disappearing from their vision. Chapter 2:12. In the desert, Dongbua Shuang walked out of a spatial tear. He closed his eyes and borrowed the true meaning of star to sense the surrounding space. He was able to sense his surroundings. It's 6,000 li ahead. Dongbua Shueying immediately confirmed the exact location. That area was sealed, and he could sense that the space there was deathly still. At the same time, his Chi avatar in Snorok Castle immediately sent a message over. Qiu Chi Bai, Si Kong Yang, and Mountain Lord He, who were in the middle layer of space, immediately tore through the void and rushed to that location. They stood guard at the spatial zone corresponding to the demon lair. So, Dongbua Shueying immediately dove into the depths of the earth and rushed towards his target with his maximum speed. A distance of 6,000 li was nothing to the current Dongbua Shueying. He flew at high speed underground. With the true meaning of stars' control over the earth, not only were the rocks and soil not obstructing him, they even assisted him, allowing him to fly at a terrifying speed. I've arrived. Underground, the flowing light turned into a black-robed youth. Dongbua Shueying started to sense the area carefully. He used the true meaning of extreme piercing to sense the spatial zone around his target. He could feel the layers of obstructions sealing the area. However, he did not care about these. Very soon, Dongbua Shueying's expression changed. What's going on? Why is there such a turbulent energy? 7 different energies were intertwining like ropes. They were incomparably tough and vast. He could not pierce through them at all. Why is there such a formation? The previous 2 demon lair did not have such a formation. Dongbua Shueying frowned. Moreover, I feel that the demon army would not have much use for such a formation. Dongbua Shueying had a feeling that he was being targeted. A ripple suddenly spread out from the demon palace. It passed through the sky and penetrated deep into the ground. Naturally, it swept past Dongbua Shueying. I've been discovered. Dongbua Shueying was also very calm. This is strange. I was actually discovered in advance. Moreover, the formation here is also able to restrict my extreme piercing. Since we can't sneak in directly, we'll crush them head-on. So. His figure flickered, and in just 2 teleportations, he was already on the ground. Right in front of Dongbua Shueying, shrouded in a layer of dark mist, a devil palace that occupied an area of hundreds of miles could be vaguely seen. Moreover, there were all kinds of chaotic and turbulent powers that could not be seen by the naked eye around the demon palace. It was this power that prevented Dongbua Shueying from sneaking in. I've been discovered in advance, and this demon's lair has a formation that just happens to restrain my penetration. Dongbua Shueying immediately informed Palace Lord Chun, Qiu Bai, and the others. Something doesn't feel right. Since we've been discovered, I'll just attack them head-on. There's a formation that can restrain you. We rushed here immediately after the first 2 layers were destroyed. Even if we sent the formation, it wouldn't be this fast. How could this be? Is it because this lair is special? All of them were confused. Snow Eagle, be careful. Your safety is the most important. Now that we've succeeded, killing a few more demons is a small matter. Palace Lord Chun instructed. Qiu Bai and the others also instructed. They could not help much now, and Dongbua Shueying could only rely on himself in the minor transcendent world. Since we've been exposed, I'll immediately send a few more demigods over to help. After a simple exchange, with a group of Xia people demigods guarding outside, Dongbua Shueying was not worried at all. He knew that his opponents were the ones inside this demon palace. Since we've been discovered, there's no rush to act. Let's investigate first before acting. Dongbua Shueying made use of the true meaning of star to control the surrounding 50 kilometers and carefully sensed the situation. What? A transcendent attack from Xia people? The temporal temple is here to protect you? When the 5 demon generals received the news from Ji Luo, they were shocked. The temporal temple could peer through time and space to see what had happened in the past. One must know that the past could not be changed. The future was uncertain. As long as the temporal temple was willing to investigate, they would be able to find out what had happened in the past. Since they had arranged for this mission, it was obvious that the temporal temple was certain that the Xia people had the absolute advantage in terms of offense. They immediately contacted the other demon lairs. No response. 2 layers did not respond. They actually destroyed 2 layers without a sound. They were truly shocked by the result of this contact. They had sent a total of 5 teams to 5 minor transcendent worlds. Moreover, each team had 3 rank 5 demons, as well as a few arrays from the demon army. But now, the Saint Transcendent of the Xia people was actually able to destroy 2 layers without the heart-linking demon sending any news. This was too terrifying. Flee, flee, quickly flee, the 5 demon generals ordered. The other 2 teams immediately followed the orders and retreated. After all, the number of demigods of the Xia people was limited. Furthermore, the minor transcendent worlds were too big. It was unrealistic to completely seal off a minor transcendent world from a space layer. Chichio Bai and the other 2 only followed the information provided by Dongbua, Shui, Ying, and guarded the corresponding positions of the demon layers. Under the pursuit of Dongbua, Shui, the demon layers had fled in panic, allowing them to wait for their prey. But without Dongbua, Shui, Ying's pursuit, the demon layers could casually tear through the spatial membrane of the minor transcendent world and leave. There was no way to seal it. Secondly, among the demigods of the Xia people, there were also people from the demonic faction. That was why this operation was so secretive. Even Si Kong Yang and the other 2, who were extremely trusted, only knew about the operation at the last moment. If they were to inform the demonic faction, the demon faction would have long since retreated. I can't escape. Dongbua Shui Ying has already arrived. He is just outside the array. He is currently observing and is not in a hurry to act. Jier Luo stood there, while the heart-linking demon controlled his demonic energy to form a huge illusion. Within the illusion, 5 demon generals could be seen. Dongbua Shui Ying? You are saying that the transcendent from the Xia people is Dongbua Shui Ying? The 5 demon generals were startled. Are there any other Xia people? No, there is only Dongbua Shui Ying. According to the people from the temporal temple, Dongbua Shui Ying came alone. Although Jier Luo was somewhat unconvinced, he still replied honestly, the temporal temple's reincarnators are much stronger than us. But to deal with Dongbua Shui Ying is still extremely dangerous. He has already started his attack. Jier Luo immediately said, I don't have much time to say. The 5 demon generals were anxious and helpless. They had no other choice. It was impossible for them to foolishly charge over. Selfishness, cunningness, and cruelty were the nature of demons. They could guess that the demigods of the Xia people would definitely be guarding outside the minor transcendent world. Would they be courting death? Dongbua Shui Ying observed for a while, but did not gain much. Who cares? Attack! Dongbua Shui Ying stood there and extended his right hand. He raised his index finger and middle finger and pointed towards the demon palace that was shrouded in black fog. Xiao! 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 Strands of battle chi flew out from Dongbua Shui Ying's 2 fingertips. Every strand of battle chi contained the power of the true meaning of extreme piercing. It directly collided with the spirit design in front of it. Hong hong hong! Every attack had the power of a veteran demigod. Furthermore, the laws of profound mysteries were extremely terrifying, causing destruction from the deepest level. Their efficiency was also astonishing. The array was also having a hard time under such attacks. Immediately, it expended its energy to defend. Xiao xiao xiao. Dongbua Shui Ying just stood there. His index and middle fingers continuously shot out strands of transcendent battle chi. He was prepared to use this move to destroy the array. Chapter 213. As the attack on the array continued, Palace Lord Chun sent another 3 demigods to meet up with Chi Chiu Bai and Si Kong Yang. How many demigods did the Xia people have? At this point, the news could no longer be kept a secret. Furthermore, this operation had already been exposed, and all the demon generals knew about it. There was no point in keeping it a secret anymore. Thus, when Palace Lord Chun sent City Lady Boo and the 3 demigods, he did not request for it to be kept a secret. What? Snow Eagle grasped hold of a grade, 2 true meaning? On a flower boat, the bald and skinny old man Chao Qing was originally happily drinking wine and watching the beauties dancing on the boat. Of course, he was also borrowing the world energy to search for traces of demons within a 500-kilometer radius. But now, Si Kong Yang's transmission had him in disbelief. He grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning. Is this real? Old man Chao Qing continued asking, why was there no news of Snow Eagle grasping hold of the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning? Now you're suddenly telling me that he grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning? Brother Chao, how could I lie about such matters? Actually, back in the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world, Snow Eagle had already grasped hold of the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. But you also know how big the impact of this matter is. In the entire history of the Xia people, there was only one such person. Once the demonic faction and Sorcerer Palace knew of this, they would definitely spare no effort to kill Snow Eagle. Thus, we did not dare to make it public. Right, you guys did the right thing. Then why are you telling me now? Old man Chao Qing continued asking. This time, Snow Eagle killed his way into the minor transcendent worlds alone and destroyed many demon lairs. You should know of this as well. The Abyss demons have built a total of 5 lairs in the minor transcendent worlds. 2 of them have already been destroyed. They're currently attacking the 3rd one. But the 3rd one is slightly special. This matter has already been exposed, and the demon generals already know of it. Thus, this matter is no longer kept a secret. Haha, so that's the case. Even the demon generals know of it. This old man only has the chance to find out. Old man Chao Qing grinned. This caused the dancing beauties and the musicians on the flower boat to feel puzzled. Why was the old man laughing like a fool? However, since the old man was paying them, they didn't dare to say anything. Tell the Snow Eagle to be careful. This 3rd fiend lair is somewhat special. His safety is the most important. Old man Chao Qing transmitted. He is still young now, but in a few hundred years, he will truly sweep through the world. Even if all the other demigods worked together, they wouldn't be a match for him. What demon generals, what demonic faction? They're no longer threats. Old man Chao Qing was in high spirits. In history, when the ancestor of the Xia people with a grade 2 true meaning was born, the Xia people were invincible in that era. This was very normal. For example, the birth of gods? For example, the birth of a heaven-defying demigod? They would make their race invincible for an entire era. In history, the demonic beast clan also gave birth to a deity, allowing the demonic beast to be invincible for an era. The Xia people could only hide in the infernal realm. Transcendent, or even God, all of them cultivated by themselves. Thus, their individual combat power could be very terrifying. It was very normal for one person to sweep through a group of powerful abyss demons. Dongbo Shui Ying had just grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning, but he was already showing signs of being extraordinary. With his own strength, he was able to sweep through a group of powerful abyss demons. He did not even need to condense a true deity heart. As long as his grade 2 true meaning reached the stage 3 realm, he would be able to completely suppress an era, invincible for an era. This brat is really amazing. Old man Chao Qing grinned. At this moment, there were other demigods from the Xia people who were discussing this matter with him. Almost every single demigod from the Xia people, other than those from the demonic faction, who were normally loyal to the Xia people, were incomparably excited. The birth of such an existence meant that the Xia people would soon be invincible for an era. Being invincible for an era was an extremely delightful matter. The foundation of the Xia people would also become stronger during this period of time. The days of the Xia people would also become more comfortable. Back then, I could already tell that this brat was not ordinary. My foresight is still not bad. Old man Chao Qing was extremely pleased. He could feel himself gradually aging. In fact, seeing the demons descend before his death made him extremely sad and indignant. Because the demons' descent would cause a large number of transcendents from the Xia people to fall. Countless mortals would die. His heart ached. But he was powerless. He could only do his best to kill the demons. He could not change the situation. But today's news had made old man Chao Qing incomparably happy. Firstly, the demons' nests were destined to be destroyed. Those that were not exterminated would take the initiative to retreat. The number of transcendents from the Xia people would greatly decrease in the future. Furthermore, Dongbua Shui Ying's growth had sounded the death knell for the demon generals. It had also sounded the horn of invincibility for the Xia people for an era. Extraordinary people do extraordinary things. That time, he was scolded badly by Sikong. I was afraid that he would not be able to recover from his setback. Who would have thought that this brat would be so calm? Furthermore, he did not change his mind at all. He walked his own path wholeheartedly. That was probably the case, after which he grasped hold of the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. Chao Qing quickly deduced. It's a pity that this matter was kept a secret. Otherwise, I would have definitely taken a look at Sikong's face to see if it was swollen. Chao Qing laughed heartily. He was extremely pleased. This day was the happiest day in the past 1,000 years. Even though he was about to die of old age, he was able to witness the rise of a peerless character destined to leave his name in the history of the Xia people. He was also able to witness the prosperity of the Xia people for thousands of years to come. Not only Chao Qing, but the demigods of the Xia people were also incomparably excited. This joyous event was truly unexpected. There were no signs of it at all. They all understood that following the rise of Dongbua Shui Ying, the entire world situation would change. Originally, the world was in a precarious situation. But now, the power of the Xia people would continue to rise until they could completely suppress the demons and the demonic faction. Of course, they were also slightly worried about the situation within the minor transcendent world. After all, this third demon nest seemed to be somewhat special. However, due to their absolute confidence in grasping hold of a grade 2 true meaning, they also believed that this attack, at most, there would be some troubles. Dongbua Shui Ying's life should not be in any danger. They were looking forward to it. The 5 demon generals were also looking forward to it. The demonic faction would also be enraged when they received the news. The Xia people had confidence in Dongbua Shui Ying. As for the 5 demon generals and the demonic faction, they were placing their hopes on the temporal temple's reincarnators. The temporal temple's reincarnators traversed the millions and millions of worlds. Any team of reincarnators could not be underestimated. They all had the possibility of creating miracles. They also believed that since the temporal temple had arranged for this mission, this team should have the strength to complete it. Looking forward to it. Both sides were looking forward to it and waiting. The minor transcendent world could only be entered by Saint Transcendents. Now, how many Saint Transcendents were arranged to enter? Even if they desperately sent rank 5 demons in, it would be pointless. Furthermore, the demigods of the Xia people were still standing guard outside. Sending rank 5 demons would most likely be sending them to their deaths. Within the minor transcendent world, Hong Hong Hong, more than half of the array covering the demon palace had already been destroyed. The remaining array was on the verge of collapse, and its energy was being rapidly consumed. Chapter 214. Today was the second chapter. We can't hold on for much longer. The energy of the array will be depleted soon, and it will naturally collapse. Jier Luo's blood-red eyes were filled with anxiety. We can only face it head-on. For this level of array, demigod transcendent mages or demigod demons could use their own energy to sustain the array. However, in this small transcendent world, there was no demigod. Jier Luo and the reincarnators of the temporal temple, although they had high cultivation bases, their energy had yet to reach the demigod realm. They were unable to supply the array. Although the temporal temple's team had some treasures, they had their own arrangements and would not waste it on an array that was destined to be broken. Wasting more energy would only buy them some time. What's the point of saying such nonsense? You should make use of this opportunity to observe the strength of the Xia people's transcendent Dongbua Shui Ying. The handsome youth, Lai Hua, said coldly, "When the time comes, you could be prepared. Luo did not explain, but stared outside. Every strand of dough chi shot out, and every attack shocked him. In terms of the power of each strike, it was probably equivalent to his own strength. However, the laws of profound mysteries were much stranger. My true meaning of golden brilliance was comprehended when I was weak and watched the battle between the two great demon gods. That was how I managed to reach where I am today. Luo gritted his teeth unwillingly. However, he was a human living in the mortal world and could not have seen a battle between gods. He actually grasped a true meaning that was more profound than mine. Back then, Luo was still very young and had just been born. He was hiding in the endless blood-red wasteland, struggling at death's door. He was afraid that he would be killed and eaten by other demons. However, one day, two terrifying demon gods had a huge battle. The battle scene was incomparably terrifying, and the shockwaves spread in all directions. Countless demons died because of it, as Luo was very far away. Although he vomited blood when the shockwaves reached him, he was not in danger of dying. At that time, he watched in shock. He saw a black sun. That black sun was faintly intertwined with countless black lightning bolts, causing the black sun to have an incomparably terrifying might. That scene, he would never forget it. As he cultivated, he used that terrifying black sun as a reference and comprehended the true meaning of golden brilliance. This was a powerful grade 3 true meaning. However, he felt that there was still a huge gap between him and the black sun. Thus, he continued to comprehend it. Now that he had grasped hold of the grade 3 true meaning, the true meaning of space edge, he wanted to fuse the true meaning of space edge with it. He wanted his true meaning to evolve, to get closer to that black sun. I do have a reference, but he's a human from the mortal world. Yet, Luo was truly unwilling to accept this. No matter how unwilling he was to admit it, he understood that this Xia people's Dongbua Shui Ying's true meaning of extreme piercing was much stronger than his. Just by observing the profound mystery of extreme piercing from afar, he couldn't help but feel apprehensive. At this moment, the team of reincarnators from the Temporal Temple had complicated feelings when they saw this scene. I traveled to many worlds and was heavily nurtured by the Temporal Temple. I've grasped hold of 4 different grade 3 true meanings, and finally, they touched upon each other and evolved, allowing me to grasp hold of a grade 2 true meaning. The handsome teenager Lai Hua had a complicated look on his face. How much have I experienced? I could choose any deity grade secret technique I want. I've even watched the battles between some magnificent existences. I've also experienced the cultivation scenes and even had the personal guidance of a deity. But what about him? He's just a brat from the mortal world. What kind of fortuitous encounter could he have? Lihua felt complicated. There was nothing he could do about it. Sometimes there were differences between transcendents. Some transcendents had a terrifying level of concentration and comprehension when it came to cultivation. In his experience of traveling to many worlds, he had heard of a legend before. There was once an ordinary sky realm reincarnator. Amongst the countless reincarnators, this reincarnator was too common. He did not have any heaven-defying performance when he went through missions. He was very ordinary, but on his 5th mission, that time, he entered a mortal world. To conceal his identity while completing the mission, this brat had disguised himself as a woodcutter. Furthermore, he had become familiar with some of the woodcutters. When a mission was about to end, one of the woodcutters actually helped him regain his freedom. That's right, reincarnators had the chance to regain their freedom, but the price was huge. They went through dangerous missions again and again. Although they survived, their strength continued to grow. Even though they survived, many of them still wanted to regain their freedom. However, the price was too high. Of course, the price for a Sky Realm reincarnator to regain his freedom was equivalent to the entire fortune of a demigod existence. The wood-chopping old man had easily paid the price. Furthermore, that reincarnator regained his freedom. After cultivating with that old man for 30 years, he had grasped hold of the grade 1 true meaning, the true meaning of splitting heavens. That old man was a terrifying existence. He was a big character in the deity world. That mortal world was under his complete control. It was his backyard. During the simple exchange with the woodcutter, this powerful existence from the deity world had clearly seen through the frightening potential of this sky realm transcendent. Furthermore, this transcendence path was extremely suitable for him. One had to know that it was not easy to find a good disciple. Forcefully giving a disciple a path, even if it was the path of a grade 1 true meaning, the disciple might not even be able to reach the second level of the realms of myriad existences. That powerful existence from the deity world had not been able to find a disciple that could satisfy him. Thus, when he met a suitable disciple that resonated with his own path, he would naturally groom that disciple. Thus, he immediately helped him regain his freedom. An ordinary reincarnator, because of his potential being discovered by a powerful existence from the deity world, only took 30 years to become a legendary genius who grasped hold of a grade 1 true meaning. Thus, envy and jealousy were useless. This Xia people's transcendent Dongbua Shui did not have the guidance of a powerful existence. Instead, he slowly cultivated in a poor corner of the mortal world. Yet, he had grasped hold of a terrifying true meaning like extreme piercing. Would jealousy be of any use? He has grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning. I have also grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning. For this battle, I have made ample preparations. Perhaps this poor transcendent will die in my hands, Lai Hua thought. Of course, even though he was looking forward to killing a genius, he understood that since this mission was classified as a hard mission, the Xia people's transcendent Dongbua Shui was not as simple as he seemed. If that was the case, this made him even more envious. For the sake of grasping hold of a grade 2 true meaning, he had spent too much time fusing 4 grade 3 true meanings together before he succeeded. How old was Dongbua Shui? How much experience did he have? Hong, hong, hong. One of the formations finally collapsed with a loud bang. Soon, we can't hold on any longer. He's about to reach. Jier Luo looked at the team of reincarnators from the temporal temple. At this moment, he did not place his hopes on the other demons under him. Are you guys confident? Don't worry. We have prepared a 3-pronged plan. So what if it's a hard mission? He can still die in our hands, the black metallic male said confidently. God General. The handsome teenager, Lai Hua, frowned. Don't underestimate this Dongbua Shui. Everyone prepare yourselves. Red Leaf, we need you to control the arrays. Don't worry. The red-robed girl nodded slightly. The handsome teenager nodded as well. Let's follow the first part of the plan first. We must kill him in one go. Amen. The other 4 nodded in agreement. Hong. Following the sound of the arrays collapsing, both the demons and the reincarnators from the temporal temple felt their hearts tighten. The heart-linking demon, who had long hidden himself far away, transmitted a message to the demon general. General, the arrays have been destroyed. Dongbua Shui is already killing his way over. Chapter 2:15. Following the advancement of the array, Dongbua Shui got closer and closer to the demon palace. As he got closer, the gravity domain enveloped the experts within the demon palace. Within the gravity domain, these experts were being observed in detail. They're humans? Dongbua Shui was shocked. Why would humans appear within the demon palace? That black metallic male doesn't look like a human, nor does he look like a demon. This observation caused Dongbua Shui to feel a knot in his heart. My operation this time was extremely fast. Even if the demon generals sent reinforcements, they shouldn't be this fast. Furthermore, it is unlikely that the demon generals would send human transcendence. Dongbua Shui used the gravity domain to observe the 3 humans. They were the handsome youth, the red-robed woman, and the violet-robed man. There were only so many transcendents from the Xia people. Saint transcendents were even rarer. He had seen all of them before, but these 3 weren't among them. Could they be reincarnators from the temporal temple? Dongbua Shuang guessed. After reading through a large number of scrolls, one would understand one thing. In the mortal world, if one were to meet an unfamiliar expert, or an expert that shouldn't exist, one would immediately suspect that they were reincarnators from the temporal temple. Although the Bloodshed Tavern and some other peak powers were comparable to the temporal temple. However, it was extremely difficult for other powers to send experts into the mortal world. Only the temporal temple had countless members that roamed the billions of worlds, even the deity world and the dark abyss. Could it be that the temporal temple had designed my attack on Demon Jier Luo as a mission for their subordinates to train? Dongbua Shuang thought. I have to be careful. The appearance of the unfamiliar expert caused Dongbua Shuang to be on guard. So, when the array completely collapsed, Dongbua Shuang transformed into a ray of light and flew over. Dongbua Shuang is here. The handsome youth, Lai Hua, looked at the human transcendence of the Xia people flying over and transmitted his order, execute the first part of the plan. Demon Jier Luo, the red-robed woman, the violet-robed youth, the succubus girl, the black metal man, and the other demons all looked on with serious expressions. Activate the formation. The handsome youth transmitted. Activate. The red-robed lady did not dare to delay any further. Although Dongbua Shuang had destroyed the array, he was still able to destroy it. However, there were some spirit designs that did not directly block it. For example, there were formations that could seal space or prevent extreme piercing. If Dongbua Shuang were to simply fly, he wouldn't be obstructed at all. Dongbua Shuang instantly flew into the vicinity of the demon palace. Suddenly, the sky started to change color. A terrifying blood-red energy started to spread out, causing the entire sky to turn blood-red. Clearly, the formation had been activated. Boom! Dongbua Shuang landed on the ground in front of the entrance of the demon palace. Without any hesitation, he activated his gravity domain. An incomparably terrifying gravitational force instantly enveloped everything within 100 miles of Dongbua Shuang. This area was like a perfect sphere. The majestic demon palace started to crumble. The gravitational force was so terrifying that not only did it shatter into dust, even the most basic material was destroyed. Clearly, under such a gravitational force, even the most basic material could not be maintained. The naked eye could see the space distorting. The gigantic demon palace started to explode one after another before turning into nothingness. It was hard to see with the naked eye. No, not only did the fat heart-linking demon and the other weaker demons have their weaker organs shattered, even their scales and other parts of their bodies started to shatter. Their bones started to break, and their bodies started to disintegrate. Only rank 3 and rank 4 demons could maintain a complete corpse. In an instant, only Jier Luo and the other 3 rank 5 demons and 1 rank 4 demon were left. Pung pung pung. Large amounts of materials used to set up the formation started to shatter. The gravitational force was too terrifying. Without sufficient stability, it was impossible for anything to remain intact under this kind of gravitational force. The blood-red color that had started to spread across the sky completely dissipated, disappearing without a trace. Not good. The succubus girl was shocked. Her undying body was able to withstand it. The formation has been broken. The purple-robed blade demon, who was in charge of acting according to the situation, felt his heart tighten. Even a fool could see that under this terrifying true meaning of gravity, many of the tools used to set up the formation had been destroyed. Naturally, the formation was useless. Damn it, the handsome youth's face turned ugly. When this terrifying gravitational force descended, his heart sank. Although this Xia people's transcendent Dongbua Shuang had expected that extreme piercing would not be his only technique, he did not expect it to be a domain-type true meaning like the true meaning of gravity. This type of true meaning was weaker in terms of pure offense or defense. However, it was extremely terrifying in terms of domain effects. Furthermore, from the strength of the gravitational force, his true meaning of gravity should be close to the stage 2 realm. The handsome youth thought to himself, He was knowledgeable and could tell that this gravitational force was at least twice as strong as the true meaning of gravity that had just been grasped. He estimated that it was equivalent to the Stage 1 large success stage and was about to break through to the Stage 2 realm. However, he did not know that this was because this gravity domain was executed by the true meaning of star. Just like how the moment one grasped the true meaning of extremity, the power of extreme piercing would increase explosively. By the same logic, the gravity domain that was unleashed by the true meaning of star was much stronger than the true meaning of gravity alone. Many true meanings of the same grade could complement each other, but the moment one broke through, it would be a qualitative change. Grade 3 true meanings were very common. For example, the Xia people's world had Qiu Qi Bai and the beast race's great elder. But in the entire history of the Xia people, there was only one person who had a grade 2 true meaning before Dongbua Shuang. As for a grade 1 true meaning, the powerful existences of the deity world had lived for many years to find a good disciple and nurture a grade 1 true meaning into a legend. True meaning of gravity? I hate the true meaning of gravity the most. The black metal construct, male's body, flew uncontrollably towards Dongbua Shuang. Following that, he tried his best to defend himself before he could stabilize himself. God General, be careful, the handsome youth transmitted. Hide further away and don't participate in the battle. Amen. The black metal construct male was extremely bitter. He was a member of the metal race. With his tyrannical body and his true meaning, he could be considered a valiant general in the team. But as a member of the metal race, his body also had a problem. It was extremely heavy. His body weight was 100 times heavier than a human of the same size. During normal battles, he had great strength, tyrannical body, and ferocious true meanings. But now, because his body was too heavy, under the same gravity, his body weight produced a gravitational force that was 100 times heavier than that of others. This made it very difficult for him to maintain his body. How could he fight? With a single move, he had caused all of them to lose their threat. You guys are from the Temporal Temple? Dongbua Shuang shouted, causing the expressions of the handsome youth and the other four to change slightly. From their expressions, Dongbua Shuang was able to confirm his guess. Truly extraordinary. All of you are able to survive. Although he said that, he was still flying at high speed to the side. With the help of the gravity domain, he had long discovered the array preventing his extreme piercing. The most important part of the array was the 4 array plates. Those array plates even had the effect of sealing space. He wants to break the array. The red-robed lady transmitted anxiously. Once the array plates were broken, as long as one array plate was broken, the Xia people's transcendent extreme piercing would no longer be able to stop it. The offensive power of extreme piercing was too terrifying. Execute the second plan. The handsome youth transmitted anxiously, feeling bitter in his heart. It was just like how Dongbua Shuang liked to use the first plan when attacking the Demon Palace. The first plan was the most perfect and efficient one. Their team was equipped with a total of 5 arrays. But now, out of these 5 arrays, only one was still functioning, while the other 4 had been destroyed. The first plan was destroyed before it could even display its true power. All right, the red-robed lady did not hesitate to control the array. Boom, 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 an endless amount of life force gathered, forming a total of 9 gigantic green vines that were even taller than the Snowrock Mountain in Shui Ying's hometown, within a radius of several tens of kilometers. These 9 terrifying vines had a large number of vines on them. In an instant, they surrounded Dongbua Shuang from all directions. Dongbua Shuang could only feel the sky turning dark. He could not see anything else, and could only see countless vines and leaves enveloping him. Chapter 2:16. The 9 huge vines seemed to connect the heavens and the earth as they rapidly closed in on him. This caused Dongbua Shuang's expression to change. One look, and one could tell that these vines possessed boundless strength. It would be troublesome if he were to be entangled by them. Mage! Donghua Shui and glanced at the red-robed lady who was standing furthest away. If a powerful transcendent was equipped with powerful equipment and arrays, the threat he could unleash would be comparable to a few transcendent knights of the same level. Repel. Donghua Shui willed. The direction of the gravitational force immediately changed. Originally, the gravitational force was directed towards Donghua Shui, but now it was directed in the opposite direction. The 9 huge vines that were moving at high speed were too huge. Their mass was also much greater. Under the same level of gravitational force, the force produced was too great. Not only were the 9 huge vines unable to get closer, their bodies were also bent backwards. Clearly, the vines themselves were unable to resist the force produced by the gravitational force. Under my gravity domain, the bigger the body, the more disadvantageous it would be. Donghua Ying's speed didn't decrease as he rushed towards the nearest array disk. Under his true meaning of gravity, these vines are truly unable to trap the enemy. The handsome youth, Lai Hua, shook his head. Fortunately, this Donghua Shui only dares to maintain the repulsive force. Although he expected that the effects of this array would be limited, it would be a waste if he didn't activate it. Another more important array, was activated at the same time. For a powerful transcendent wizard, activating 2 magic arrays was a piece of cake. Originally, the long vine array was very important, but under the influence of gravity, it was no longer as important. The second array was more important to the reincarnators of the temporal temple. Countless colorful lights appeared out of nowhere. These colorful lights were like fishes in the water. They swam about in a radius of several tens of kilometers, causing the surroundings to be extremely beautiful. Spatial ripple. Suppress. The handsome youth was using his true meaning to control all the colorful lights. The colorful lights produced by the array were extremely powerful, and they were used to complement his domain-type technique. This caused the power of his move to increase explosively. Under the control of the true meaning, countless colorful lights surged towards Donghua Shui. This caused Donghua Ying's expression to change slightly. Why are there so many colorful lights? The transcendent Do Qi on the surface of Donghua Ying's body abruptly burst forth, bringing with it the might of the true meaning of stars that shot out in all directions. However, these colorful lights were like flowing water, and when Donghua Ying's fiery red Do Qi shot out, the colorful lights would disperse without suffering any damage. The colorful light surging in from the surroundings increased rapidly, and the speed of the colorful light was simply too fast. In the blink of an eye, all the colorful light within a radius of several dozen kilometers had gathered within a radius of 10 meters around him. They completely wrapped around themselves. So uncomfortable, Donghua Ying felt as if he was immortal in water. The true meaning of stars was an extremely defensive true meaning. At the same time, it was also extremely powerful. Every single movement of Donghua Ying could easily break through these colorful lights. However, the countless colorful lights continued to surround him. Even though mortals could easily break through the water, every single movement of theirs would still be met with resistance. At this moment, Donghua Ying was the same. These colorful lights could easily break through, but the resistance was too great. He has been suppressed by me, and his combat power has been greatly reduced. Kill him. The handsome youth, Lai Hua's eyes were filled with anticipation as he transmitted the order. The grade 2 true meaning he grasped was the spatial ripple. It was formed from the combination of the grade 3 true meanings, the true meaning of ripple, the true meaning of heavenly light, and 2 other space-related true meanings. Die! The succubus took out her blood-colored bow, pulled it back, and released an arrow. The arrow left behind a blood-colored trail as it flashed past. Transcendence of the Xia people die. The black metal construct male, who did not dare to approach from afar, took out a short spear. His terrifying strength and true meaning were imbued into the short spear, and he abruptly threw it out. In terms of strength, he was the strongest in the team. Kill. The handsome youth also displayed his own technique. So. He punched out with his fists, sending out waves of black flame chi at an astonishing speed towards Dongbua Shuang. Of course, as Transcendent Knights, they were actually the most formidable in close combat. At this moment, their long-range attacks were comparatively weaker. There was no helping it. They were not willing to get close to Dongbua Shuang until the very last moment. That was because getting close to him represented the danger of death. The second plan did not include close combat. Die! The red-robed girl took out a dark blue scroll. It was a peak demigod grade spell scroll. In terms of long-range attacks, Transcendent Mages were the ones who could display their greatest might. Furthermore, the most important part of the second plan was this half of the deity grade spell scroll. The world energy in the surrounding 50 kilometers started surging. At the same time, 8 extremely thin discs appeared out of thin air. These discs seemed to be formed from ice, and their edges were extremely sharp. Xiao. These 8 discs flew towards Dongbua Shuang at a frightening speed. They cut through everything in their path, and their might caused Dongbua Shuang's expression to change. Not good. Dongbua Shuang felt the danger of death. He could disregard the attacks of others, but those ice discs were peak demigod grade spells. If he allowed them to land on his body, they would definitely be able to cut through his body. The purple-robed blade devil stood far away. The demon Jier Luo did not make a move either. One of them was a newbie, while the other was a demon that specialized in close combat. Neither of them had any suitable long-range attacks. The fastest to attack was the handsome youth, Lai Hua's black flame Do Chi, which carried waves of energy as it rapidly attacked. The spear in Dongbua Shuang's hands easily blocked the incoming transcendent chi. The true meaning of star was, after all, a grade 2 true meaning, just like extreme piercing. Its gravitational force was just a side effect. More importantly, Shuang's entire body was like star. His body's defense was as hard to shake as the earth. Every move he made was like a star smashing down with boundless strength. Thus, under the suppression of the spatial ripple, Dongbua Shuang's strength was not as great as these reincarnators thought. It only decreased by about 20%. The spear was blocked. The spear easily blocked the incoming black flame chi. However, a powerful shockwave was still transmitted to Dongbua Shuang's hands after being weakened by the stellar fire cloud spear. It then tunneled into his body. However, Dongbua Shuang's body was protected by the true meaning of star, allowing him to forcefully block it. If I didn't have any weapons to block it, I'm afraid I would have been injured. Dongbua Shuang immediately estimated the power of his opponent's attack. Just a long-range attack, and I would still be injured if I took it head-on? His true meaning of star was famous for its powerful defense. Even if he took it head-on, he would still be injured? Furthermore, these colorful ripples are also being suppressed by him. Dongbua Shuang glanced at the handsome youth in the distance. He immediately treated him as his most important opponent. Pu. The stellar fire cloud spear moved like lightning. With a simple block, it managed to deflect an arrow and a short spear. Due to the slow condensation of the spell, the true killing move arrived. One could only see space being sliced apart. 8 ice discs flew towards Shuang at high speed from all directions. The power of the attack made Shuang's heart tremble. If the handsome youth's long-range attack could injure him, then these ice discs could kill him. Too fast. Dongbua Shuang couldn't be bothered with anything else. He flew at high speed and dodged the incoming attacks. However, the 8 ice discs continued to surround him. The red-robed lady's cultivation base was very high, comparable to some demigod mages. Thus, she was still able to control the spells formed from the scrolls with great agility. Block! With all his attention focused on the 8 ice discs, Dongbua Shuang didn't dare to be careless. His spear instantly drew an arc in the air as he defended with all his might. Pung! A sound of collision. The stellar fire cloud spear, which carried the true meaning of star, clashed with the ice discs. The ice discs shattered, and Dongbua Shueing only felt his hands trembling. A powerful shockwave spread through his entire body. His body was protected by his true meaning and the demigod robe. This shockwave was ultimately just brute force. It didn't pose much of a threat. But the other 7 ice discs arrived as well. This was the most terrifying part of this spell. The 8 ice discs attacked at the same time, surrounding and attacking at the same time. If even one of them failed to block, his life would be in danger. Block, block! Dongbua Shueing defended with all his might. His spear was as fast as lightning, and it formed a series of afterimages. These revolving afterimages of the spear vaguely resembled the stars and the earth revolving slowly. Pung, pung, pung. A series of collisions rang out. Dongbua Shueying's heart was in his throat. He displayed all the defensive methods of his spear art. The sharp edges of the ice discs closed in on him time and time again. Pung, pung, pung. At this time, other than the 8 ice discs, the streaks of black flame battle chi were also coming at him. Dongbua Shueying relied on his movement technique to dodge. If he couldn't dodge, he took it head-on. His spear was completely focused on defending against the 8 ice discs. As for the other attacks that weren't life-threatening, he temporarily threw them to the back of his mind. One after another, the streaks of black flame battle chi landed on Dongbua Shueying's body. The true meaning of star, which was famous for its defense, was displaying its might at this moment. Furthermore, there was even a demigod robe protecting his body. Ultimately, the remnant shockwaves only caused Dongbua Shueying's internal organs to tremble. He could taste blood in his throat, saying it was slow. In reality, it was as fast as lightning. Ooh! Dongbua Shueying heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. In that instant, he was finally able to defend against the 8 ice discs. Naturally, there were 12 streaks of black flame battle chi that landed on his body. Fortunately, his true meaning of star was strong enough. With the help of the demigod robe, his internal injuries were still fine. It was just that blood had flowed into his mouth. Pooh! After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Dongbua Shueying felt much better. The 8 ice discs were truly terrifying. However, Dongbua Shueying didn't dare to be careless. The coordination of the temporal temple's reincarnators was truly formidable. They were actually able to force him to such a state in an instant. If his defense was slightly weaker, he would have lost his life. In a second watch. Chapter 217. Kill. After dealing with this dangerous situation, Dongbua Shueying did not dare to hesitate. He immediately charged towards the nearest array disk. As long as he destroyed this array disk, he would be able to use his extreme piercing to appear at any location within a 50-kilometer radius. He would then be able to destroy them one by one. The Temporal Temple's team would no longer be able to surround him. Plan 2 has failed. Plan 3. Let's go all out. The handsome youth's expression was savage. Go all out. Although the black metal man's speed was very slow due to the repulsive force, he still gritted his teeth and charged forward. The succubus, demon G-Air Luo, and the newbie Blade Devil were all closing in at high speed. Freeze! The red-robed woman looked at Dongbua Shueying from afar and executed her technique. Dongbua Shueying only felt his vision turning red. A huge red lotus had already enveloped him. Break! The stellar fire cloud spear spun at a shocking angle. The spear tip pierced the red lotus in front of him. The moment the true meaning of extreme piercing was activated, the red lotus instantly disintegrated. Everyone, be careful. His defense is extremely strong. He was able to withstand my shockwave kill 12 times. His defense is stronger than any of us. At the same time, he is also extremely strong. He was able to withstand a peak-stage demigod's attack while maintaining his balance. His strength must be terrifying. The handsome youth transmitted a message. At the same time, his speed was the fastest. He was even faster than Dongbua Shueying. His body flew with a strange undulation, and he was the first to reach Dongbua Shuang. Demon Jier Luo was the second to reach. Even though Shuang was already very fast, he was still affected by the red lotus flower. Before he could kill his way to the arrayed disc, he had already met with these two opponents who were continuously attacking him. Scram! The spear lashed out fiercely. The spear handle was like a whip, and it was like a shooting star. The handsome youth was wearing gloves on both of his hands. He was able to softly deflect the force. Both of his hands were covered in dense undulations. When his hands clashed with the spear, a terrifying force exploded. What a powerful force! Although he had already expected it, he was still shocked, and his whole body flew backwards. Dongbua Shui, Ying furrowed his brows. This handsome young man was indeed his biggest enemy. When he swept his spear towards him, he felt as though he was sweeping through the void. He's a human. It's very difficult for him to cultivate an immortal body. As long as we pierce through his skull, I'm afraid he'll die. At the same time, the handsome youth transmitted his voice to the others. Close combat pierced through his skull. All right. It was accompanied by a deep roar. Demon Jier Luo's sharp claws turned into claws, which simultaneously enveloped Dongbua Shuang. At the same time, the 5 sharp blades on his gauntlets glowed with a dazzling golden light. These golden lights converged and compressed together, producing a huge change. It was obvious that an extremely violent and ruthless power was accumulating, and it would explode the moment the sharp claws caught its target. Pooh! It was too fast. Even though Dongbua Shuang was completely enveloped by a large amount of colorful light, the spatial ripple was suppressing and restricting him. However, his spear thrust was still astonishingly fast. With a rotation, the tip of the spear seemed to be the most terrifying point in the world. Extreme point. Pierce. Pong. When Demon Jier Luo faced this spear, he finally understood how terrifying extreme piercing was. Facing this spear, he couldn't even think of anything else. There was only one thought in his mind. Defend against it. Poo-pu-pu, it was too fast. In an instant, Dongbua Shuang thrust his spear 3 times in a row. The first thrust numbed Demon Jier Luo's hands, the second thrust made him flustered, and the third thrust, he could no longer block it, and his head was pierced through. Although the Demon Jier Luo's body was extremely strong, capable of withstanding the attacks of an ordinary Tier 5 demon, Jier Luo's extreme piercing was still no match for it. Extreme piercing is too fast. This scene sent a chill down everyone's spine. Extreme piercing could pierce through the void, and its speed was even faster than the spatial fluctuations. Even though it could no longer pass through the void due to the formation, its speed in the material world did not slow down at all. It was still as terrifying as before. Jier Luo, don't fight him head-on. The handsome teenager transmitted a message. At the same time, his body flashed, and he closed in once again. With a wave of his hand, he blocked Dongbua Shuang's spear. Damn it! I've been countered by him. Jier Luo clenched his teeth in dissatisfaction. His true meaning of golden brilliance was also extremely violent and ferocious. Currently, he had even comprehended the true meaning of Space Edge and was about to fuse it with his true meaning of Space Edge. What he pursued was that kind of explosive power. As for extreme piercing, its offensive power was also extremely strong. When the two of them clashed, extreme piercing's slight advantage in speed allowed him to obtain victory in just 3 spear strikes. At this moment, the importance of defense could be seen. For example, the handsome teenager's defensive techniques were even better. Even if he was at a disadvantage, he could still hold on and not be defeated in a few moves. Fantasy Domain Descent. The succubus was the third to close in. Her pair of charming eyes were like endless whirlpools. Hua! A ripple enveloped Dongbua Shuang. N. Dongbua Shuang's expression changed slightly. In an instant, Jier Luo and the handsome teenager disappeared without a trace. There was no longer a single opponent in the vicinity. All the demons and experts from the temporal temple had disappeared. Fantasy domain? Dongbua Shui Ying thought, pulling my consciousness into the fantasy domain. Compared to the mirage, the fantasy domain is really crude. The true meaning of fantasy domain was a grade 4 true meaning. If it were to evolve, there was hope for it to become a grade 3 true meaning, the true meaning of fantasy world. If it were to evolve further, it would be the heaven-defying grade 2 true meaning, the true meaning of mirage. The true meaning of fantasy world and true meaning of illusions were both grade 3 true meanings. They were, in fact, specialized in different aspects. The fantasy domain focused on the word world. It specialized in dragging the enemy's consciousness into the fantasy domain, causing them to sink into it for eternity. The true meaning of illusions focused on the word elephant. It allowed one to form many illusion avatars. For example, it could form dozens of Dongbua Shuang. Some of them even had extremely powerful combat power. Both of them represented different directions. Dongbua Shuang had started comprehending the true meaning of mirage from the very beginning. Currently, his embryonic form of the true meaning of mirage had reached its final bottleneck. He only needed to make up for some of the flaws before he could reach large success and grasp the true meaning of mirage. What Dongbua Shuang lacked now were the aspects of the fantasy domain. The fantasy domain of this succubus was also related to the fantasy domain. Furthermore, it was a complete true meaning of fantasy domain. Dongbua Shuiying's eyes brightened when he saw it. He had discovered something that he lacked. Even though Dongbua Shuiying had yet to grasp the true meaning of mirage, he could at least control the mirage. The mirage was the final form of the fantasy domain. Thus, this crude fantasy domain was nothing more than a joke to him. His consciousness has been pulled into the fantasy domain. The handsome teenager saw that Dongbua Shuiying seemed to be stunned. He could not help but be overjoyed. He transmitted a message to the others. Everyone, hurry up and take action. Before his soul struggles to escape from the fantasy domain, let's take the opportunity to kill him. Pulled into the fantasy domain, our chance has come. They were all overjoyed. Even though they had a strand of hope, they did not dare to hope for too much. After all, such a heaven-defying transcendent who could comprehend such a powerful true meaning should have a strong spirit. It would be extremely difficult to pull a transcendent with such a spirit into the fantasy domain. But who knew? Who knew if Dongbua Shuiying had some flaws in his spirit? There was a saying, there is no true meaning of absolute invincibility. Of course, this saying excluded the possibility of a grade 1 true meaning. A grade 1 true meaning was a truly perfect true meaning. As for the others, they had all sorts of flaws and weaknesses. As long as there was a weakness, it would be targeted. It was not impossible for an expert to die after falling into the fantasy domain due to a flaw in his spirit. Kill. The axe in the black metal-clad male's hand chopped down with all his might, directly striking Dongbua Shuiying's waist. The true meaning of star easily blocked the attack. Dongbua Shuiying seemed to have reflexively stabbed out with the spear in his hand. It was as fast as lightning. Pooh! It directly pierced through the chest of the black metal-clad male. His tyrannical body began to crumble apart. Pu. Dongbua Shuiying seemed to be frantically attacking his surroundings in panic. One could only see his spear flying about, either furiously stabbing out or whipping out. In an instant, his surroundings were within his attack range. The black metal-clad male's collapsed body floated far away and rapidly recovered. He was also drenched in cold sweat. Your attack just now has caused his body to receive an impact. The handsome teenager, Lai Hua, transmitted, everyone be careful. Although he has been pulled into the fantasy domain, his body and soul are closely connected. If his body receives an impact, he will definitely feel it. He must have realized that he is in the fantasy domain. Even though he is frantically attacking his surroundings in panic, everyone, don't worry. He can't see us. He is a blind man. We have to hurry up and kill him before he escapes from the fantasy domain. Dongbua Shuiying seemed to be frantically attacking his surroundings, but in reality, it was just a disguise. He was carefully observing this simple and crude true meaning of the fantasy domain. Those who were attacking him were all within his observation range. That black metal-clad male's true meaning was the weakest, and his combat power was the weakest. Even Donghua Shui Ying could roughly see through the level of the laws of profound mysteries contained in his axe. It was just like how Si Kong Yang, Palace Lord Chun, and the others saw Donghua Shui Ying using the embryonic form of extreme piercing and determined that it was an embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. By the same logic, Donghua Shui Ying was able to determine that the black metal-clad male was merely at the stage 2 realm of a grade 4 true meaning. Other than his strength, his comprehension of the laws of profound mysteries was really weak. That was why he had purposely received this attack. Of course, with the defense of the true meaning of star, it could even withstand an attack from a grade 2 true meaning. Ho ho ho! Shui Ying was panicking and crazed as he frantically attacked in all directions. However, his mind was still very calm as he observed the situation. Pung pung pung. His extremely fast and berserk attacks coincidentally sent Ji-Er Luo flying once. This caused the blade demon, who was like a stream of lightning, to be heavily injured. Understood. Donghua Shui Ying was suddenly overjoyed. He had finally grasped the final strand of the true meaning of mirage. Chapter 218. Hua. Through the essence of nature, Donghua Shui Ying discovered that behind the real world, there was a corresponding illusory world. It and the real world were like two sides of the same coin. The mirage represented the pinnacle of illusory. Donghua Shui Ying grasping hold of the true meaning of mirage was just an important step forward. He had only crossed this threshold. From here on, the true meaning of mirage could continue to improve stage 2, stage 3, or even condense a true deity heart. Even so, grasping hold of the initial stage of the true meaning of mirage was already a terrifying deterrent. In the deity world, there was a saying regarding true meanings. One would rather meet an enemy who grasped hold of another grade 2 true meaning than an enemy who grasped hold of the true meaning of mirage. The pure offensive power of the true meaning of mirage was extremely weak, even weaker than many grade 3 true meanings. But it represented the pinnacle of illusory, forming its own world. Experts who grasped hold of it could be considered the most terrifying assassin. Walking in the mirage, killing without leaving a trace was not an exaggeration. The world around Donghua Shui Ying suddenly distorted. His body disappeared from the real world, arriving in the mirage. Mirage. It was like a mirror of the real world. It looked exactly the same. But with a thought from Donghua Shui Ying, everything within the mirage could change. How interesting. Donghua Shui Ying walked in this vast mirage. He walked to the side of the black metallic male and patted his face. His palm passed through the mirage and entered the real world, slapping the black metallic male's face. It's an illusion, an illusion. The black metallic male frantically attacked in all directions. At this moment, all of them, including the demons, had their consciousness pulled into the mirage controlled by Donghua Shui Ying. But in the mirage, they would see whatever Donghua Shui Ying wanted them to see. If he did not want them to see, they would not be able to see. This metal race expert only realized that he had fallen into an illusion after his face was slapped. I walk in the mirage, but I can attack enemies in the real world. Donghua Shui Ying thought to himself. Enemies in the real world, unless they have a method to attack the mirage realm, otherwise they won't be able to hurt me. How terrifying. As expected of the pinnacle of illusion, real power is so powerless in front of it. Even if he had the power to destroy the world, if the laws of profound mysteries couldn't attack the mirage, he wouldn't be able to hurt Donghua Shui Ying at all. The offensive power of the true meaning of mirage was very weak. But other than the true meaning of mirage, Donghua Shui Ying had also grasped the true meaning of extreme, piercing, and star. The three great true meanings complemented each other. which was much more powerful and heaven-defying. I can't believe there are two people who can break free from the ethereal realm. Dongwu Shui glanced at the handsome young man and the red-robed woman not far from them. The red-robed woman was a very powerful sorcerer. Her realm was similar to that of the handsome young man, another wizard. Sorcerers had extremely high attainments in the aspect of the soul and spirit. It was normal for her to be able to break free from the ethereal realm. However, that handsome young man was actually able to do so as well. This was out of Dongwu Shui Ying's expectations. Although he had just grasped the true meaning of mirage and was only at the stage 1 realm, it was still extremely difficult for him to break free from it. Let's not waste any more time. Dongwu Shui walked in the ethereal realm. Although he could control the mirage doppelgangers to kill his enemies, his true body didn't even need to make a move. This was a common move used by experts who grasped the true meaning of mirage. Even if they could attack the ethereal realm, if they couldn't find the true body, they wouldn't be able to injure the experts within the ethereal realm. However, Dongwu Shui wasn't willing to waste any more time. After all, that handsome young man, Lai Hua, and the red-robed woman had already regained their consciousness. It was better to act as soon as possible. Who? Dongwu Shui took a step forward and arrived beside the handsome young man. His spear pierced out. The stellar fire cloud spear was as fast as lightning. The spear left the ethereal realm and entered the real world. By the time the spear appeared, it was already at the forehead of the handsome young man. Pooh! True meaning of extreme piercing. It directly pierced through the protective true meaning of spatial ripple on the surface of his body. Although this true meaning's defense was not bad, it was clearly unable to directly defend against extreme piercing. The handsome young man, Lai Hua, was terrified. Fortunately, he had a unique treasure in his soul. When his soul was pulled into the ethereal realm, it automatically protected him and helped him break free from the ethereal realm. The handsome young man looked at everything in front of him. In the distance, the succubus girl, the black metal construct male, the newcomer blade devil, and the demons were flying around randomly. Some were attacking the void randomly, while others were fighting to the death. It was as though they were treating each other as enemies. Luckily, Red Leaf is awake. The handsome young man also saw the red-robed woman. In this team, the two of them were the strongest. Pooh! Before he could think of anything else, his eyes were still looking at the red-robed woman. A spear suddenly appeared in front of his forehead and pierced through his head. His eyes were wide open. Just like that, he died. If he were to fight against Dongwu Shui, who had extreme piercing and the true meaning of star, he could still hold on for a while. However, with the true meaning of extreme piercing, the true meaning of star, and the true meaning of mirage behind him, especially the true meaning of mirage, he was destined to be a terrifying assassin. With just one move, he died on the spot. After all, he was still a human, and he did not have an undying body. One had to know that many demigods of the Xia people did not have an undying body. In order to obtain an undying body, demons and primordial life forms had to rely on their innate talent. Alternatively, they could awaken their primordial bloodline once and spend 1 million kilograms of origin stones to forcefully raise their body to the middle stage of the Saint Realm. At this point, they would also have an undying body. Other than that, or perhaps they had grasped a true meaning that had an undying body. The true meaning of spatial ripple obviously did not have an undying body. The true meaning of spatial ripple had a decent defense and could also resist the true meaning of gravity. However, the pure extreme piercing had directly pierced through his head and killed him on the spot. The red-robed lady, Red Leaf, was also extremely shocked. What a terrifying illusion technique. Even with my soul cultivation and spirit cultivation, I could only struggle out of it with all my might. Some of the others were randomly flying around, some were randomly attacking the void, and some were killing each other. Clearly, they were all within the illusion realm. Blazing Flame is awake. Red Leaf also saw the handsome youth in the distance. Suddenly, she looked on in shock. She saw a spear appear from the void, right in front of the handsome youth's forehead. With a pu-chi sound, it pierced through his protective true meaning and pierced through his head. Their team's most outstanding team leader, Blazing Flame, had died just like that. At the same time, the red-robed lady, the black metal construct male, the succubus, and the rookie blade demon all received the same message in their minds. Mission difficulty increased. Mission difficulty increased. Something unexpected happened. Mission difficulty increased to the nightmare grade. When heading to the billions of worlds to train, the members of the Temporal Temple all knew a rule: be careful not to mess around. Because they had suddenly provoked a terrifying existence. The difficulty of the mission suddenly increased. With the increase in difficulty, the rewards for completing the mission were similarly high. However, if they could not complete the mission, they would be in deep trouble. Thus, when they had a certain level of confidence, it was fine to take some risks for the sake of treasures. However, if they were not confident, the increase in difficulty would be fatal. Nightmare grade? This mission was previously the hard grade. Under normal circumstances, half of the members would die. Above that was the hell grade mission, with a slim chance of survival. Above that was the highest grade, nightmare grade. Nightmare grade, with a slim chance of survival. Chapter 219. How could this be? Nightmare grade? I'm finished. I just got caught by the Temporal Temple, and I've already encountered a nightmare grade mission. Are they messing with me? The newbie Blade Demon was the most depressed. He didn't even have the chance to display his strength, and the mission's difficulty had already risen to the nightmare grade. One must know that the Temporal Temple's highest level of mission was the hell grade. There had to be a sliver of possibility. Only during the actual execution of the mission would there be some unexpected factors that would raise the difficulty to the nightmare grade. Nightmare grade, it's actually the nightmare grade. Seeing the handsome youth's head being pierced, the red-robed lady felt a chill in her heart. Without hesitation, a red talisman appeared in her hand, and her soul force drilled into the space-time imprint on her arm. Give up. I give up on the mission. Return immediately. Return immediately. Wong. A mysterious and vast space-time ripple descended and enveloped the red-robed lady. A black-robed youth walked out from the void. It was Donghua Shuang. He was frowning as he looked at the red-robed lady who was enveloped by the space-time ripple. Donghua Shuang, I'll remember you. I hope we can meet again in the deity world. The red-robed lady's lips moved, but her voice couldn't be transmitted. Her eyes were filled with unwillingness. The value of that red talisman was extremely terrifying. It was given to her by her teacher in the deity world. She had used it to exchange for this red talisman in the Temporal Temple to protect her life. This red talisman could allow her to give up on any mission before she became a demigod. This was equivalent to a life. Although giving up on the mission would result in failure, the price of failure was still bearable. If she was killed, it would be terrifying. Her soul would be dragged into hell by the Temporal Temple, and she would have to undergo 3 consecutive hell grade missions. This red talisman, in the entire team, she was the only one who had it. It was extremely rare for a saint-grade reincarnator to obtain such a red talisman. Interesting. Ying walked out of the mirage and into the real world to observe the scene in front of him. This mysterious and vast space-time energy caused Donghua Ying's heart to tremble. The space-time trembled. If it wished, this energy could destroy the entire Xia people's world. It was too powerful. According to the records, the great existence behind the Temporal Temple was an existence that stood at the pinnacle of the millions of worlds, the deity world, and the dark abyss. In order for the Temporal Temple to operate, he had paid a huge price to refine an unimaginably terrifying divine weapon. This divine weapon had its own weapon spirit, and it would act according to the orders of its master. It would either capture the life forms of countless worlds and turn them into reincarnators, give them missions, train them, select them, or provide them with large amounts of resources to help the temporal temple nurture a steady stream of experts. I've long heard that the members of the temporal temple travel across millions of worlds. However, this is the first time I've seen them being carried away by the space-time energy. Dongbo Shuang smiled as he watched. Hua, the red-robed woman in front of him was wrapped up and instantly teleported out of the mortal world. Dongbo Shuang didn't even try to attack it. The gap between them was too huge. Perhaps some of the almighty beings in the deity world might be able to deal with this terrifying divine weapon. But he was a transcendent? The difference was too great. Pooh! Dongbo Shuang continued walking and disappeared into the mirage. While walking in the mirage, he casually pointed out with his finger. A flame-like transcendent chi flew out and landed beside the rookie blade demon, following which it left the mirage and appeared in the real world. Appearing beside the rookie blade demon, a strand of transcendent chi containing the true meaning of extreme piercing instantly pierced through the rookie blade demon's head. However, when his head was pierced through, his body was affected by the true meaning of extreme piercing, causing his body to start disintegrating. Very quickly, however, the flowing lightning on his body recovered. Undying body? Dongbo Shuang was slightly shocked. A human saint actually managed to cultivate an undying body. Xiao. Dongbo Shuang was only stunned for a moment before he casually shot out strands of transcendent chi, attacking the succubus, the metal race man, the rookie blade demon, Demon Jier Luo, and a few other demons. The rookie blade demon was a human, while the black metallic man was a life form of the metal race. The others were all demons. Spare me, spare me. The black metallic man had long been scared silly by the nightmare grade mission. His soul was screaming, I don't dare to be enemies with my lord anymore. Spare me. Lord Dongbo Shuang, spare me, spare me. I was forced to do this by the mission. The succubus tried her best to reform her body. Her soul was also begging for mercy. As long as my lord spare my life, I will do anything. I am a succubus, and I know how to serve others. I am willing to be your slave. Once the mission was over, they would be forcefully taken away. Hence, they were willing to make any promises. As long as they could live, they were not willing to die. If they died, they would have to complete 3 hell grade missions consecutively. Moreover, they had to succeed in all 3 missions. If they failed once, their souls would dissipate. Xiao. Strands of transcendent chi shot out in all directions. Dongbo Shuang watched everything coldly. Spare me. Demons were wantonly slaughtering mortals. Who would spare me? These temporal temple reincarnators didn't hesitate to kill me. Who would spare me? Since they dared to act against me, they would have to bear the consequences. Extreme piercing. Dongbo Shuang exclaimed in shock. Its attacks are too strong. If I were to use my true meaning of star to attack, I would probably have to kill them thousands or even tens of thousands of times before I could exhaust them to death. The true meaning of star was extremely powerful. It could crush one's body directly. However, it was only able to shatter one's flesh and blood. It was unable to destroy it on the most fundamental level, the particle level. Even an undying body would find it extremely hard to recover from the destruction on the particle level. As long as it was destroyed 8 to 10 times consecutively, one's life force would be completely exhausted. Human, fight me head on. If you have the guts, fight me head on. Jier Luo, who was trying his best to reform his body, roared. Unfortunately, Dongbo Shuang couldn't be bothered to waste time with him. Finally, one by one, the demons turned into nothingness. The succubus, the metal race man, and the newbie blade devil had all turned into nothingness. All of them died. Dongbo Shuang looked at the empty surroundings. He looked at the large number of items falling from the sky. These were the items left behind by these demons and reincarnators. Some of the weaker items had already been turned into transcendent materials by the true meaning of extreme piercing. It's over. Dongbo Shuang stood within the mirage. As he looked at everything, he felt an indescribable sense of relief. The assault on the demon's nests had finally ended. Although there were still 2 more nests that he hadn't attacked, The devil generals had already known about it. They had probably retreated long ago. One, a space-time ripple enveloped the souls of the succubus and the other two, instantly sending them to the distant abyss of hell. There, they would experience a cruel hell-ranked mission, following which a ripple was transmitted to Dongbua Shuang. Xia people's transcendent Dongbua Shui Ying, my temporal temple invites you to join us. Are you willing? This ripple emitted a majestic voice. This voice was indifferent and lofty. Chapter 220. Inviting me to join the temporal temple? Dongbua Shui Ying laughed. The reputation of the temporal temple was too great. Be it the temple of the earth god or the bloodshed tavern, the Xia people or the elders of the Xia people who came from the deity world. All of these had allowed Dongbua Shui Ying to understand some of the most basic rules. The temporal temple relied on their control over space-time to investigate the trillions of worlds, as well as what had happened in the past, of course, because there were too many worlds, the deity world and the dark abyss were too big. Even the temporal temple would only know what had happened in the past if they deliberately investigated a certain place. If they did not investigate, the temporal temple would not know either. Even so, the temporal temple was still the best at unearthing the strength of transcendence. They could discover countless talented transcendents from the trillions of worlds. If they were allowed to forcibly take them away, the temporal temple would have become the sole power in the world. This was something the superpowers of the deity world and the dark abyss did not wish to see. Thus, they had long made an agreement with the temporal temple. The number of people they would capture every year. How many mortals would they capture? How many transcendents would they capture? Both low-grade true meaning and middle-grade true meaning transcendents would have a limit. As for high-grade true meanings, they were still allowed to capture grade 3 true meanings, but the limit was very strict. As for the legendary grade 2 true meanings or the legendary grade 1 true meanings, these transcendents were forbidden for being forcibly taken away. They had to be willing. Invite me? Dongbua Shui Ying laughed inwardly. The temporal temple was not that polite, but they could only invite him due to the rules. If they could capture him, they would have done so long ago. What a joke. In such a poor place like the Xia people's world, he had grasped hold of 3 grade 2 true meanings at such a young age. If the temporal temple were to nurture him with all their might, there was hope for him to grasp hold of a grade 1 true meaning. A grade 1 true meaning represented the core of the laws of profound mysteries. Dongbua Shui Ying's current combat power was already heaven-defying, and a grade 1 true meaning would be even more terrifying. Sorry, I refuse, Dongbua Shui Ying said. Refuse? Are you worried that the mission arranged by my temporal temple is too dangerous? That indifferent voice calmly said, You don't have to worry about this. Your potential is extremely high. My temporal temple will not let a transcendent like you, who is brimming with potential, die so easily. I can make you a Silver Order God emissary, which will give you a lot of authority. The possibility of you dying is very, very low. Dongbua Shui Ying smiled. He had long known about this point. The transcendents that the temporal temple took the initiative to invite would receive a completely different treatment from those who were forcefully captured. I still refuse. Dongbua Shui Ying continued. I have no intention of joining the temporal temple. This way, I can make you a Golden Order Oracle. This is the highest level of grooming. Our temporal temple invites those legendary transcendents with grade 1 true meanings to become Gold Order God emissaries. The indifferent voice continued. You're so young, yet you've already grasped hold of 3 grade 2 true meanings. My temporal temple has many powerful existences, countless resources, and countless treasures. I believe you'll definitely be able to grasp hold of a grade 1 true meaning. Furthermore, regarding death, you don't have to worry too much. My temporal temple will protect you with all our might. Even if you die, we will protect your soul and help you reconstruct your body. Gold Order God Emissary. This represented the highest level of treatment. Even if he died, his soul would be protected. There was no helping it. Any apex superpower in the deity world would protect a transcendent who grasped a grade 1 true meaning. They would do their best to protect their lives. How could they take the initiative to let them die? The temporal temple was the same. If Dongbua Shuiying were to join them, they would also do their best to protect Dongbua Shuiying's life. Even though Dongbua Shuiying did not grasp hold of a grade 1 true meaning, but the 3 true meanings Dongbua Shuiying grasped, extreme piercing, star, and mirage, had complementary effects. If he grasped hold of all 3 offensive true meanings, or if he grasped hold of all 3 balanced true meanings, his combat power would not be comparable to Dongbua Shuiying's. Dongbua Shuiying's 3 true meanings represented 3 different directions. This was especially true for the mirage, which was extremely difficult to comprehend. Experts who could control the mirage were extremely terrifying assassins. It was just that their attacks were relatively weak. Coupled with the extremely powerful extreme piercing, coupled with the true meaning of star, which was extremely powerful in terms of survivability, it could be said that Dongbua Shuiying already had the demeanor of a grade 1 true meaning expert. Even if he did not grasp a grade 1 true meaning in the future, he would still be qualified to be a gold order divine emissary. More importantly, he had not gone through too many life and death situations. He had not gone through any crazy grooming, and he was still very young. This caused Dongbua Shuiying's potential to be extremely high. For example, that handsome teenager, Lai Hua, who died previously, had only grasped hold of a grade 3 true meaning when he was captured. After much grooming, he grasped hold of 4 grade 3 true meanings before evolving it into a grade 2 true meaning, space ripple. It could be said that the potential of that handsome teenager, Lai Hua, had been squeezed out. The threat of death had left them numb. That's right, numb. The fear of death would cause a transcendence life force to erupt. But after experiencing it many times, they would become numb to it. The effects of life and death training would become weaker and weaker, causing them to no longer have any potential. A mere grade 2 true meaning, space ripple, might be very precious to the Xia people. But to the apex superpower of the deity world, the temporal temple, they would rather continue squeezing them dry in hopes that they could improve. No matter how many weaklings there were, the help they could provide was limited. Only the birth of a powerful existence would allow the temporal temple to become even stronger. Gold Order Divine Emissary. Dongbua Shuiying laughed and shook his head. According to what I know, even with the protection of your temporal temple, you can still be killed by some powerful existences from the deity world. Yes, the indifferent voice calmly said, I am ultimately just a powerful deity weapon that can protect you from many different dimensions. I cannot block all the powerful existences from the deity world, but I will try my best to prevent such a thing from happening. I still refuse, Dongbua Shuiying said. Are you afraid of death? The indifferent voice asked. No, Dongbua Shuiying said. Freedom? The indifferent voice continued. I can even give you the opportunity to choose some missions. You can head to some of the worlds you wish to visit and experience things that you would never have imagined. Your strength will continue to rise, and your horizons will be broadened. The world you wish to visit will not be a small place like the mortal world, but the boundless heaven and earth of the outside world. I need freedom and time, Dongbua Shuiying said. Time, the indifferent voice retorted. For example, if I don't wish to take on any missions for the next 1,000 years and just stay in my hometown, you can't force me. Can you do that? Dongbua Shuiying asked. That won't do. You are still young, and it has only been a few decades since you were born. Right now is the most important time for you to develop. It is also the best opportunity for you to grasp a grade 1 true meaning. The indifferent voice rejected. The earlier you start cultivating, the more important time is. You cannot waste it. When you become a powerful existence in the deity world, it is fine even if you squander 1,000,000 years of time. But right now, you have to treasure every single year. Our temporal temple has set the rules for grooming. Even though Gold Order emissaries have many privileges, the most basic rules cannot be violated. Then there's no other way. Dongbua Shui Ying shook his head. After cleaning up the battlefield and collecting the treasures of the dead reincarnators and demons, he tore open the space membrane. Dongbua Shui Ying walked out. Very soon, many figures flew over from all directions. There were a total of 6 of them. They were faction head Si Kong Yang, City Lady Bu, Mountain Lord He, Xiao Qi Bai, the Scarlet Robe Shi Yun, and the Cloud City Vice City Lord, the chubby Chun Yuan. Is it settled? Xiao Qi Bai asked. It's settled. Not a single one was left alive, Dongbua Shui Ying replied. How did you get discovered this time? Was there an accident? Si Kong Yang was puzzled. It's the temporal temple. Dongbua Shui Ying shook his head helplessly. I didn't expect that my raid on the demon's nest would actually be used by the temporal temple to temper their members. I've long heard of the temporal temple's great name. But after living for over 1,000 years, I've never met anyone from the temporal temple. Chun Yuan beamed. City Lady Bu was also smiling at Dongbua Shui Ying. City Lady Bu was extremely beautiful, but she had a domineering air about her. At this moment, the corners of her mouth were curled up as she looked at Dongbua Shui Ying with a smile. Everyone present was in extremely good mood. The way they looked at Dongbua Shui Ying was slightly different. Dongbua, you should know that you've saved half of the transcendence of our Xia people. Qian said, this contribution is truly great. Mountain Lord he also praised. Now that the news has started to spread, it won't be long before all the transcendents of our Xia people know about this. Xiao Qi Bai said, at that time, many transcendents will be grateful to you. Your communication wristband will definitely be very busy. What about the other 2 demon lairs? Dongbua Shui Ying asked. We've also sent demigods to try and surround them. The demons from those 2 lairs have indeed retreated in different directions. We only managed to kill 2 of them by a fluke. We didn't meet the others, Xiao Qi Bai explained. Dongbua Shui Ying wasn't surprised. This was all within his expectations. After bidding farewell to the demigods, Dongbua Shui Ying rushed back to his hometown. Junior Brother Snow Eagle, you've grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning? Amazing. I admire you. Junior Brother Snow Eagle, I'm Zhui Yi. You're too amazing. You've grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning. And you've even saved many transcendents of our Xia people. There aren't many people I admire, but you're the one I admire the most. You're too amazing. Little Brother Snow Eagle, you've eradicated 3 demon lairs? That's amazing. In a few days, I'll go to Snorrock Mountain to find you for a drink. Don't look down on this, sister. Several transcendents had already sent messages to Dongbua Shui Ying. Who? Dongbua Shui Ying appeared in the sky above Snorrock Mountain. With a single glance, he saw a green-robed girl standing on the roof of Snorrock Castle. Why did she reject the temporal temple? Because her goal was different. Perhaps other transcendents would pursue their own strength and become a deity. But he was different. What he pursued was to protect the people he loved and the people who loved him. The girl in front of him, his little brother, his father, and his mother. All of them were worthy of him using his life to protect them. Cultivation was important, but compared to his loved ones, it wasn't worth mentioning. His cultivation was also for the sake of protecting his loved ones. If he were to waste his time on adventuring in the millions of worlds, pursuing his so-called strength and leaving his family, it would be putting the cart before the horse. If he were to live for tens of thousands of years, he would become an extremely powerful existence. But by then, his family would no longer be around, and he would be a loner. So what if he was powerful? Even if he was powerful, he would still be a loner. Furthermore, so what if he could accompany his loved ones in the mortal world? He could still become stronger and stronger. Hadn't he already grasped hold of 3 different grade, 2 true meanings? Jing Xiao. Dongbua Shui Ying landed. Crystal tears could be seen in Jing Xiao's eyes. She already knew what had happened. Currently, the news had spread like wildfire amongst the transcendents. Even though she saw Dongbua Shui Ying standing in front of her, she still felt a lingering fear when she thought about how she had risked her life to attack the demon's nest. But she understood that for the sake of the Xia people, it was not wrong to do so. Jing Qiu hugged Dongbua Shui Ying tightly. Dongbua Shui Ying was startled. He could feel Jing Qiu's emotions. His heart warmed, and he revealed a smile. This was what he was willing to use his life to protect. End of the chapter. Chapter 221. Dongbua Shui Ying killed his way into the minor transcendent world alone, wiping out 3 demon nests and causing the other 2 to flee. From then on, the situation in the Xia people's world was completely reversed. Before this, a large number of demons were hiding in various places. They were very confident. This was because they could report to their superiors to summon the demonic avatars of rank 5 demons. Even if the Xia people's demigods chased after them, the demonic avatars of rank 5 demons would still dare to wantonly kill. After all, they were just avatars. Even if they were destroyed, they could recover after 2 to 3 years of rest. But now it was different. They no longer had any helpers. Even if they reported to their superiors, would the demon generals dare to save them? They did not dare. The majority of the demons were still the weaker rank 1 and 2 demons. They were the main force that discovered the Xia people's transcendence. But if they did not have any helpers, it would be very difficult for them to kill the Xia people's transcendence in a single breath. After all, other than the new transcendence, the weakest Xia people's transcendence were at the peak of the Sky Realm. Coupled with their transcendent weapons, they were confident of fighting against a rank 2 demon for a single breath. Some of the higher realm could even counterattack. Haha, those 5 demon generals must be furious and want to kill you. Within the Infernal Palace, Palace Lord Chun was walking side by side with Dongbua Shui Ying. Today was already the 3rd day of the battle. As long as they have the ability, they can come. Dongbua Shui Ying laughed. Only with power would one be able to be confident. The outside world only knew that he had grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning, but in reality, he had 3. Especially after grasping hold of the true meaning of Mirage. Wanting to kill him would become an extremely difficult task, because Dongbua Shui Ying could enter the Mirage with a single thought. Haha, you should have this heroic spirit. Palace Lord Chin sighed. Snow Eagle, you've really helped me a lot. In the past few years, I watched as the Xia people's transcendence died one after another. I was anxious, but helpless. Now that you've eradicated those demon nests, you've eliminated the greatest threat to the Xia people. Although the following battle will be very long, the threat has been greatly reduced. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded his head. This time, I've invited you here to tell you something. After all, you've grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning, and your status within the Xia people has greatly increased. Even though you're not an elder, there's no difference. As Palace Lord Chin spoke, he stretched out his hand, and a gold-leafed book appeared out of thin air. Next, the gold-leaf book flew towards Dongbua Shui Ying. This book records many secrets of the Xia people. Oh. Dongbua Shui Ying's eyes lit up, and he immediately took a closer look at it. Amazing! The Xia people were able to stand tall in the mortal world until now, and they were even the overlords of this mortal world. His foundation was really deep. There were many secrets that even Sky Realm Transcendence and Saint Realm Transcendence did not have the qualifications to know. Even demigods like the Serene Shrine and Bloodshed Tavern did not have the right to know. Dongbua Shui Ying was still a Saint Realm Transcendent. However, now that he had grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning, nobody would treat him as a saint. All the demigods would treat him as an equal. So that's the case. Dongbua Shui Ying's eyes lit up. Who would have thought that our Xia people would be able to contact our ancestors in the deity world? Those demonic gods could send down their world projections. Our Xia people's ancestors also had some powerful deities who could send down their world projections. Palace Lord Chin sighed. These ancestors had always been thinking about their hometown, which was why they did not care about the rewards and the price they had to pay. In fact, when our Xia people had once faced a difficult situation, it was the ancestors of the Xia people in the deity world who thought of ways to help us get through it. Amen. Dongbua Shuang nodded. After reading it, he gained a deeper understanding of the deep foundation of the Xia people. In fact, Dongbua Shuang had seen some of the clan protection deity weapons in the dossiers of the demigods. These can only be considered as 90% of our secrets. Previously, we were forbidden from telling you. Perhaps you have learned a thing or two from other sources. Palace Lord Chen laughed. There are also some core secrets that only the Palace Lords have the right to know. This is to prevent them from leaking out. The demonic faction will always be able to infiltrate through any openings. Understand? Dongbua Shuang nodded. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. If the enemy knew all the secrets of the Xia people, then destroying the Xia people would be several times easier. Secrecy was a must. Regarding the 3 demon nests that you have eradicated, Palace Lord Chen said, you have killed 9 rank 5 demons, as well as many rank 4 and 3 demons. I will give you 1,000,000 contribution points. A normal reward for killing a rank 5 demon would range from 50,000 to 100,000 contribution points. You have helped the Xia people to eradicate this huge threat. I will also give you 1,000,000 contribution points. That will be a total of 2,000,000 contribution points. How about it? Palace Lord Chen asked. Even if he didn't kill a single demon, as long as he could force the 5 demon nests to retreat and eliminate this threat, it would be an incomparably huge contribution. If he really wanted to calculate the value, it was impossible to calculate. Even if it was 10,000,000 contribution points, it would still be worth it. After all, it was the life of half of the Xia people's transcendence. One must know that the Saint-class transcendent cheat doppelganger that was sent out previously had brought along a few demigod scrolls and other treasures. These treasures added up to a total of 1,000,000 contribution points. And this was just a test. That's too much, Dongbua Shuang said. Perhaps only the top 10 demigods on the demigod rankings would have such a huge net worth. It's not much. Actually, it's still too little. Palace Lord Chan suddenly hesitated. Snow Eagle, these 2,000,000 contribution points of yours. Don't tell me you want origin stones? If you want origin stones, I, the Xia people, can help you exchange for 2,000,000 kilograms of origin stones. No need, no need, Dongbua Shuang said. Too extravagant. According to the rules of the Xia people, the most demigods of the Xia people could exchange for origin stones was 1,000,000 kilograms. Want more? If you have the ability, get the other demigods to sell you origin stones. Or go to the minor or major transcendent worlds to dig for origin stones. In any case, the Xia people could not provide so many origin stones, because the total amount of origin stones was limited. There were only so many origin stones. If they gave too much to a demigod, the other demigods would not have enough. Even so, many demigods would rather spend their time to slowly cultivate and absorb the energy from the heavens and earth. Just like body cultivation, for a sky peak to Saint Primary, it required 50,000 kilograms of origin stones. Dongbua Shui Ying's current body was that of Saint Primary, and for a Saint Primary to Middle, it required a terrifying 2,000,000 kilograms of origin stones. From Saint Middle to Saint Primary, the amount of origin stones required would not be enough even if all the transcendent world around the Xia people's world were dug up. This was something passed down from the deity world. Thus, the so-called Saint Primary's body would definitely undergo a second awakening, was just a dream to the mortals. It could only be realized in the deity world or the dark abyss. The Xia people did not have many origin stones saved up now. Using contribution points to exchange for weapons, exchanging for treasures, exchanging for mage equipment, exchanging for refiner organisms. These Xia people could all smile and nod their heads. But exchanging for origin stones? The Xia people would have to calculate. Others can't, but you can. Palace Lord Shan said, you have contributed so much and grasped a grade too true meaning. We, the Xia people can make an exception for you. This way, your body will be able to reach the middle stage of the Saint Primary, greatly increasing the chances of you undergoing a second awakening. Your combat power will also become stronger. No need, there's really no need, Dongbua Shuang said. He was already prepared to challenge the Black Wind Deity Palace. After completing the challenge, he would also sweep through the major transcendent worlds connected to the Black Wind Deity Palace. A major transcendent world was a huge treasure trove. If he really wanted origin stones, he could just go and dig them up himself. Why should he let the Xia people dig out 1,000,000 kilograms of origin stones for him? Seeing the hesitant look on Palace Lord Chen's face, it was clear that he felt heartache. It was not easy being a leader. The 8th chapter, Black Wind Deity Palace, begins. Star. Chapter 222. You decide. I will not force you. Palace Lord Chen nodded. Dongbua Shuang hesitated. Palace Lord Chen, the deity world warrior that I carry with me is not necessary. Even without it, I can protect myself with my own strength. I can lend this deity world warrior to my junior sister, Jing Qiu, temporarily. Is that all right? No need, no need. Palace Lord Chen laughed. I really do not know what to say about the two of you. If your junior sister Jing Qiu becomes a demigod in the future, her strength will not be inferior to yours. If you do not work hard enough, she might even be stronger than you. Oh, Dongbua Shuang was shocked. If I do not work hard, she might be stronger than me? Jing Qiu, he did not notice. Although Jing Qiu was quite talented in cultivation, she could not be said to be outstanding. As long as she becomes a demigod, she will be able to wield the strongest deity weapon of the Xia people. Palace Lord Chen did not hide anything. When that time comes, her strength will be able to suppress all demigods, and she will have the strength of a god. The strongest deity weapon? Senior Shui? Dongbua Shuang was shocked. He had read about this deity weapon in the Xia people's secret book. Palace Lord Chen nodded. That is why one of the protective treasures I gave her is a deity world warrior. It is just that Jing Qiu does not know about it. Dongbua Shuang heaved a sigh of relief. That was great. The treasure that Palace Lord Chen had given him back then contained a disguised deity world warrior. Jing Qiu had one too. Senior Shui? Dongbua Shuang was shocked. In the future, with his own true meaning, he would be able to defeat all demigods and stand at the top of the Xia people's world. He would even be able to match the strength of a god. Jing Qiu would be able to rely on the strongest deity weapon. With the power of that terrifying divine artifact, it was enough to suppress an entire era. So you have to work hard. Don't let your woman surpass you. That would be embarrassing, Palace Lord Chen joked. Not at all, not at all. Dongbua Shuang was in a good mood. You have to help her too. Don't delay her cultivation. Although we, the Xia people, have secretly provided her with many resources, it is still too difficult for her to become a demigod, said Palace Lord Chen. If she doesn't become a demigod, she won't be able to use that strongest divine artifact. Understood. Dongbua Shuang was completely at ease. With a celestial realm warrior protecting Jing Qiu in the dark, Jing Qiu would not be in any danger when searching for the demon outside. Palace Lord Chen, I want to know more about the Black Wind Deity Palace and its master. Dongbua Shuang suddenly said. With his strength, he should have a higher chance. Naturally, he had to go and explore this Black Wind Deity Palace. Black Wind Deity Palace? Palace Lord Chen was stunned for a while before he reacted. Oh, it's the Black Wind Deity Palace that is very close to your Snorrock Castle. I remember that when you were a legend ranker, you fell into that Black Wind Abyss, right? Dongbua Shuang nodded. No wonder you were so curious about it. Why do you want to try it? Asked Palace Lord Chen. I'll give it a try. I've heard that no transcendents have ever succeeded, said Dongbua Shuang. Yes, Palace Lord Chen said. Many transcendents have tried. Ever since the Black Wind ancestor created the deity palace, not a single transcendent has succeeded. He's dead, so no one can break the array he left behind? Dongbua Shuang didn't really understand back then. Only now did he understand how powerful the Black Wind Palace Lord was. A dead demigod mage of the Xia people had left behind a deity palace array that even the transcendents who came after him could not break. Palace Lord Qin laughed. It's a bit embarrassing, but Ancestor Black Wind is indeed an extremely powerful demigod mage. If he were to live in this era, he would be an existence that could suppress an entire era. His combat power is much higher than Mountain Lord He's. In terms of spells, arrays, refiner puppets, and many other aspects, he has reached an extremely high level. You can go and try, and you will know how hard it is to break the deity palace. I've seen Ancestor Black Wind's dossier. He only grasped hold of a grade 3 true meaning. So how could he be so powerful? I've looked through it carefully, and it seems that some parts of the dossier were skipped over. Dongbua Shuang asked. He's a mage, after all, using the same true meaning and the laws of profound mysteries of the true meaning to construct spells. There are differences in power. Ancestor Black Wind was an extremely amazing mage. Skipped over? That's because he had some fortuitous encounters. Back then, his combat power had reached an unparalleled level. But he could not become a god. That's why he did something crazy, causing his combat power to increase once again. However, some of the secrets related to the Xia people were skipped over, Palace Lord Qin said. You can't tell me? Dongbua Shuang asked. I can't, Palace Lord Qin said. Dongbua Shuang curled his lips. He did something crazy? What exactly was it that, even with his current status, Palace Lord Qin was not willing to tell him? Palace Lord Qin laughed. If you want to try, you have to be careful. Although Ancestor Black Wind set up a trap to not kill the transcendence of the Xia people, sometimes the power is too great, and if you're not careful, you can still lose your life. I know. Dongbua Shuang was very relaxed. Firstly, Ancestor Black Wind did not have any killing intent towards the transcendence of the Xia people. Secondly, he had the mirage. He did not believe that the techniques left behind by the dead demigod mage would be able to harm him in the mirage. If you succeed, and if you discover a treasure that will be of great help to the Xia people, Palace Lord Qin hesitated for a moment before saying solemnly, something that won't be of much use to you. You can exchange it with the Xia people. A treasure that will be of great help to the Xia people? Dongbua Shuang was puzzled. You've grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning. Even if you don't succeed this time, you'll have a high chance of succeeding in the future. Palace Lord Qin said. You'll understand when you break into the Black Wind Deity Palace. According to what I know, the treasures of the Black Wind Deity Palace are definitely extraordinary, if not for the fact that taking it by force might trigger some self-destruction. The previous 2 great emperors would have long taken it. Amen. Dongbua Shuang became even more curious. Palace Lord Qin did not elaborate further. What exactly did the Black Wind Deity Palace have? After bidding farewell to Palace Lord Qin, Dongbua Shuang went to the Water Taoist faction and bought nearly 20,000 contribution points worth of various treasures. They were all prepared for his parents, little brother, Uncle Zong, and Uncle Tong. They could also be used by the descendants of his clan. As for weapons and armor, demigod weapons were of little help to Dongbua Shuang. Middle-grade demigod or top-grade demigod weapons were no different to him. Secondly, the Stellar Fire Cloud Spear was a weapon that was extremely suitable for him. This was because it did not have any runes on it. Why were other top-grade demigod weapons so powerful? It was because they had many runes that could unleash many unique powers. But the Stellar Fire Cloud Spear did not have any runes on it. It relied purely on the material it was made of. It was classified as a middle-grade demigod weapon. Thus, in the eyes of the Xia people, this was an extremely wasteful and extravagant thing. It was said that it was left behind by an alien who died. Just by relying on its material, it was already so powerful. Its material was even more precious than top-grade demigod weapons. Extreme piercing. The Stellar Fire Cloud Spear was the most suitable weapon for material rejection. It could pierce through those demigod weapons and create a hole in them. After the new year, it was early spring, and it was still very cold. At least in the water rights town, there was still snow everywhere. A young man and woman were flying side by side in the sky. Back then, I was chased by Xiang Pangyun while escaping. Of course, I was the one who escaped. Dongbua, Shui, Ying, and Jing Xiu were flying along the same route that they used to escape. Back then, it was really dangerous. If I had really fought on Snorrock Mountain, I'm afraid I would have died in the hands of Xiang Pangyun. After all, his true identity is that of a mutated demonic beast. Look, that's the Black Wind Cliff. Dongbua, Shui, Ying, and Jing Xiu flew towards the Black Wind Cliff. I know. Senior Snow Eagle, you fell from the Black Wind Cliff. Jing Xiu also flew above the Black Wind Abyss and looked carefully. The huge black wind formed a whirlpool that spanned over a few thousand meters. Furthermore, this was only the outermost part of the whirlpool. The lower it was, the stronger the whirlpool became. Back then, it was also luck. Dongbua Shui Ying also looked at the whirlpool. He had experienced a life and death situation here. What luck! If not for the crevice at the bottom of the valley, allowing him to sneak into the underground hall, he would have starved to death. It's not enough to rely on luck without strength. Jing Xiu was dressed in a thick white robe. She said worriedly, Senior Snow Eagle, you have to be careful this time. Don't worry, I have the deity warrior. Dongbua Shui Ying laughed. Even if you don't believe me, you have to believe the deity warrior. I believe you. Jing Xiu nodded. It's never wrong to be careful. While the two were talking, you two little fellows, why are you chattering on top of my head? Why don't you hide further away? Suddenly, a powerful aura approached from below. Within the black wind, a huge silhouette could be vaguely seen. Following that, a huge black dragon's head popped out. Its huge golden eyes were staring angrily at the two figures standing above the whirlpool. In the eyes of this black dragon, they were just two ordinary transcendents. Long time no see. Dongbua Shui Ying smiled. You are? The black dragon's golden eyes were filled with doubt. It couldn't remember who this black-robed young man was. Do you still remember the mortal young man who fell from the Black Wind Abyss 50 years ago? Dongbua Shui Ying smiled. Back then, this black dragon caused him to feel suffocated and terrified. But now, he could tell with a single glance that this black dragon was a powerful demigod refiner organism. Chapter 223. Correction. Jing Xiu is still a peak sky realm transcendent, not a saint. The previous text has been corrected. If the guardian of the outermost perimeter of the Black Wind Deity Palace was already so strong, what about the bottom of the valley? What about the deepest parts of the Deity Palace? No wonder not a single transcendent was able to break through it in the past tens of thousands of years. Shui Ying knew that there was still a huge gap between his combat power and that of the current number one under the heavens, Mountain Lord He. He could only give it a try by relying on his three-grade, two true meanings. Regardless of success or failure, he would still be able to enter the underground palace and enter the major transcendent world through the crack in the valley. 50 years ago, the black dragon's huge golden eyes were filled with doubt. I still have some impression of it. Back then, a black youth was like a phantom, engulfed by the black wind vortex and falling at high speed. Through the dense black wind, the black dragon had indeed caught a glimpse of him. And it was indeed you. The black dragon carefully examined Dongbua Shui Ying's facial features before laughing. Who would have thought that in just 50 years, a mortal would become a peak saint transcendent? Fortunately, you did not attack me. Otherwise, I would have died without any ability to resist. Dongbua Shui Ying laughed. I will not attack a mortal. Master's orders are aimed at transcendence. The huge black dragon said, Why, now that you have become a saint transcendent, you want to charge in? I do want to try. Dongbua Shui Ying smiled. Brat, you should hide further away. Go to the Xia capital and investigate the background of the Black Wind Deity Palace. The Black Wind Deity Palace isn't a place that any transcendent can barge into. Even if I don't want to kill you, if I accidentally use too much strength, I'm afraid that the aftermath of my attack will kill you." The black dragon deliberately emitted an aura, causing the entire black wind vortex to tremble. That genius of your Xia people is called Qiu Bai. He could not defeat me even when he was a saint, even after becoming a demigod and wielding a deity weapon. Although he won against me, I am only the outermost perimeter guardian. The powerful guardian within the Black Wind Deity Palace can easily defeat him. That bit of strength of his is still far from enough. Even he was defeated. Tell me, how can a little saint like you win? Black Dragon Head asked. But I still want to give it a try. Dongbua Shuang grinned. Roar, you a saint-rank transcendent? You can't even beat me. Come, come, come. I'll let you try. The black dragon's head let out a low roar, its voice causing the surrounding space to tremble slightly. The power of the sound waves caused Dongbua, Ying, and Jingxiu's expressions to change slightly. What terrifying strength! Just the sound wave alone are already so powerful. Jingxiu was shocked. In terms of pure strength, I'm afraid he's at the peak of the demigod level. Dongbua Ying nodded as well. He's so strong, and he's only at the outermost perimeter guardian? Jingxiu exclaimed in admiration at the Black Wind ancestor's generosity. She was also a transcendent sorcerer, and when Dongbua Ying told her that he wanted to enter the Black Wind Deity Palace, she specially investigated the relevant information and was shocked. Senior Brother Snow Eagle, you have to be careful. This Black Wind ancestor is a sorcerer that's close to the level of a deity. Sorcerers are meticulous, and the methods he left behind can render transcendents who have existed for hundreds of thousands of years helpless. Don't worry, just wait outside. Dongbua Ying was extremely confident. Amen. Jingxiu immediately flew backwards directly to the edge of the Black Wind Cliff and stood at the edge of the cliff to observe everything. The Black Wind Abyss was very wide, at least a few thousand meters wide. The black wind vortex that enveloped the area was incomparably turbulent. The black dragon's head was like a small mountain, tens of meters tall. Brat, do you really want to try? This is fatal. The black dragon's head let out a vigorous voice. I'll give it a try. Dongbua Ying looked down. Tell me your name. The black dragon's head said. He had also started to re-evaluate Dongbua Ying. Those who dared to give it a try were extremely stupid. Most of them had some tricks up their sleeves. My name is Dongbua Ying. Very good. Boom. Amidst the dense black wind, a huge figure could be seen rising rapidly. The black dragon's over 1,000 meters long body was fully revealed. At this moment, it was coiled up, and its huge golden eyes were staring at Dongbua Ying. Its ferocious aura was completely unleashed, causing Dongbua Ying to feel a slight sense of pressure. What great strength! Dongbua Ying exclaimed. The difference between the height of an ordinary human and 1,000 meters long black dragon was simply too huge. In front of the black dragon, Dongbua Ying was like a tiny speck. The black dragon's huge body also gave the black dragon immense strength. Even Qiu Bai, who specialized in offense, was defeated by this black dragon when he was still a saint. Perhaps the black dragon was weak in many aspects such as techniques and realm. However, just the strength of a peak demigod was enough to stop many transcendents. And this was only the outermost layer of defense. Come! The huge black dragon soared into the sky, and its huge head was already at the same level as the Black Wind Cliff. It looked down at the tiny Dongbua Ying, and its golden eyes were filled with rage. Following that, it swooped down and bit down on Dongbua Ying. It's starting. Jingxiu, who was watching the battle from the cliff, was incomparably nervous. The black dragon's aura was too strong. Ying watched as the black dragon swooped down towards him, especially the incomparably sharp teeth within its ferocious mouth. As a demigod refiner organism, the toughness of the materials used to construct them was terrifying. However, Dongbua Ying was not in a hurry to dodge. Instead, he calmly stood in midair and watched as the ferocious mouth closed in on him. Ah, the black dragon was puzzled. Why wasn't he dodging? Was he going to fight it head-on? A Saint Transcendent dared to fight it head-on? Wasn't he looking for trouble? Expel. Donghua Shui Ying suddenly shouted. Wang, a formless domain of laws of profound mysteries, immediately enveloped the huge black dragon that swooped down. The huge black dragon's body suddenly tensed up, as though an invisible force had enveloped every single part of its body. Following that, the huge black dragon was sent flying backwards. Although its body was twisting and struggling, it was still unable to withstand this invisible force. It flew backwards at high speed. Boom! With a loud bang, the 1,000-meter-long black dragon was directly flattened into the side of the black wind abyss like a pancake, stuck tightly to the side. Its body was still struggling, but it was unable to break free from the cliff. True meaning of star, gravity domain. Jing Xiu looked at the scene in front of her in shock. Her senior brother Snow Eagle did not even see him move, but that domineering, huge black dragon had already been smashed onto the cliff of the black wind abyss. Fortunately, the cliff of the black wind abyss was protected by a formation. Otherwise, with such a force, any ordinary mountain would have collapsed. What's going on? This is... The black dragon's body was twisting and struggling, but it was unable to break free from the cliff. That formless gravitational force was simply too strong. You've lost. Donghua Shui Ying laughed. The gravity domain could cover an area of 100 li around him, but it was similar to extreme piercing, which could cover both close and far distances. The range of the gravity domain was also controllable. Simply put, the area covered by the laws of profound mysteries was the gravity domain. The maximum area covered by the laws of profound mysteries was 100 li away from him. In order to prevent too many mortals from dying, Donghua Shui Ying only covered the area around him and the huge black dragon. If the gravity domain was used against human demigods, it would not have such heaven-defying power. But who asked this black dragon to be so huge? Its body was 1,000 meters long. Hence, under the same gravity, the repulsive force he felt was much stronger than that of a human demigod. Even though he had the strength of a peak-stage demigod, he was still fiercely repulsed by the gravity domain, and he was unable to break free. The black dragon was infuriated, but he was helpless against this repulsive force. His huge golden eyes were filled with unwillingness and helplessness as he let out a low roar. I've lost. Wang. With a thought, Donghua Shui Ying retracted the gravity domain. Only then did the black dragon regain its freedom from the cliff. It was really uncomfortable to be pressed against the cliff just now. Kid, don't be too happy. I didn't expect you to have such a strange, true meaning of gravity. The black dragon was somewhat unhappy. It was too embarrassing to be defeated by a saint-class transcendent. This true meaning of gravity happens to restrain me. However, this gravity domain is useless in battle. I'm only the first layer of protection. The other protectors in the Black Wind Deity Palace are much more dangerous. Thank you for your reminder. Donghua Shui Ying laughed. He raised his head and looked at Jing Xiu, who was on the Black Wind Cliff. Jing Xiu, wait for me here. I'll go down and see how powerful this Black Wind Deity Palace is. Senior brother Snow Eagle, be careful, Jing Xiu said. At the same time, she was inwardly surprised. Didn't her senior brother have grasped hold of the grade 2 true meaning of piercing? Since when had he grasped hold of the true meaning of gravity? She also understood that Donghua Shui Ying was displaying it in front of her because he trusted her. South Donghua Shui Ying rapidly dove downwards. The power of the black wind maelstrom was like a light breeze to the current him. It did not affect him in the slightest. I've actually been defeated by a saint-class transcendent. The black dragon still could not accept it. He was just a mortal 50 years ago. That year, he glanced at that mortal young man who fell from the sky and did not care about him at all. In his eyes, mortals were as weak as ants. Who would have thought that he would be suppressed to the point where he could not even struggle free from the cliff? His luck is good, and he just happened to restrain me. In a while, he's going to suffer. I have to go down and take a look. The black dragon's huge body immediately swung its body and flew downwards. Chapter 2:24. Bang! Donghua Shui Ying flew downwards at high speed like a sharp sword. The huge black dragon behind him followed suit. The two of them flew one after the other. A human transcendent. He seems to be only a saint-ranked transcendent. How can he be so reckless? Even the black dragon has been defeated? You guys didn't see it earlier, but I saw it clearly. That black-robed young man didn't even move in midair. The black dragon was suppressed and couldn't resist at all. Some refiner organisms living in the black wind abyss conversed with each other. Their strength was much weaker. Most of them were saint-ranked refiner organisms. Since the black dragon had been defeated, they naturally didn't dare to resist. Who? They continued flying downwards. This black wind abyss was very deep. As they continued to descend, they had already entered the ground. When I saw these transcendent refiner organisms in the past, I felt that they were all terrifyingly strong. Donghua Shui Ying sighed. From the looks of it, other than the black dragon, which is a demigod, the rest are all saint-ranked transcendents. As for the soldiers and generals formed by the array, they don't even have any intelligence. They only have the most basic of instincts. Their strength is even weaker. Back when he was still a legend ranker, he had relied on the flames of myriad things to kill a black-armored soldier. Kill those black-armored soldiers and generals who only had instincts had ice-cold eyes. They didn't have a trace of emotion as they charged towards Donghua Shui Ying without any fear of death. Donghua Shui Ying directly released the true meaning of gravity. The terrifying gravitational force acted on the black-armored soldiers and generals. Those weaker black-armored soldiers instantly disintegrated. As for the generals, they also started to disintegrate as they flew backwards, and after disintegration, they turned into black fog. The black fog floated in the surroundings and even tried to condense again. However, under the might of the gravitational force, it was unable to condense into a solid form. Donghua Shui Ying finally landed silently at the bottom of the valley. He turned his head and looked not far away. There was a huge pit on the ground. It was the same pit that he had fallen into when he was a legend ranker. Let's go take a look at the Black Wind Deity Palace. Shui Ying immediately took a step forward. Everywhere he passed, under the repulsive force of gravity, all the black-armored protectors roared and charged over, regardless of whether they were soldiers or commanders, were all turned into black fog. So strong. What kind of invisible power is this human transcendent using? This should be the gravity true meaning. The alchemy creatures muttered as they followed and watched from afar. Only the black dragon flew at the front, following closely behind Donghua Shui Ying. Donghua Shui Ying also glanced at the alchemy creatures behind him and said, Ancestor Black Wind really made a lot of alchemy creatures. There were more than 10 martial saints and 1 demigod, and this was just outside the divine palace. Where did he get so many alchemy creatures, especially the black dragon, which is so big? How many materials did he use? In the Xia people, there were quite a number of transcendent alchemy organisms. For example, the 100 Battles Chamber had a total of 100 of them. However, they were generally smaller in size. The materials used for Sky Realm refinement organisms were relatively poor, so they might be willing to make them a little bigger. But for a demigod refinement organism to be 1,000 meters long, Palace Lord Chun didn't tell me much either. Donghua Shui Ying thought to himself, this Black Wind Divine Palace must have some huge secrets. As he walked, he soon arrived in front of a majestic cave-dwelling palace. The cave-dwelling palace was emitting a misty green light, and the patrolling black armor guards had all been disintegrated into black fog by the gravity. No one dared to obstruct him. The majestic entrance of the palace was 100 meters tall, and it was completely green in color. Open. Dongbua Shui-ing waved his hand. Boom! A dazzling fiery red, transcendent battle chi formed a huge palm that was tens of meters long. This huge palm was extremely ferocious, and its surface was covered with a layer of star true meaning. In terms of strength, the star true meaning was famous. It was as though a star had smashed out. However, it was most suitable to be used to open the door. Following a loud sound, the huge palm slammed onto the dark green palace door. Following the loud sound, the two doors were pushed open, revealing the scene within. The interior of the cave-dwelling palace was filled with white fog. White fog. Dongbua Shui-ing furrowed his brows as he looked carefully. The white fog caused the interior of the palace to be faintly discernible. However, he was able to see some tall bronze-red pillars. Dongbua Shui-ing. Suddenly, a majestic voice sounded, and the huge black dragon behind him flew to the back of Dongbua Shui-ing. Especially the huge black dragon head. It was right beside Dongbua Shui-ing. Dongbua Shui-ing looked at the black dragon. What's the matter? The Black Wind Divine Palace is where my master cultivated in the past. The black dragon said, my master didn't wish for some weak transcendents to overestimate themselves and barge in. Thus, he set up a simple array outside the Black Wind Divine Palace. He ordered some black armored guards to patrol. Then he ordered us, the refiner organisms, to chase away those transcendents. To be honest, those black armored guards and those saint-tier refiner organisms are only in charge of trivial matters. Only I am truly in charge of the outermost perimeter. Dongbua Shui-ing nodded. He could tell that if he didn't have the true meaning of gravity, it would be extremely difficult for him to defeat the Black Dragon in a head-on battle. However, the laws of profound mysteries were as such, no matter how strong you were. But if the laws of profound mysteries were countered, you wouldn't be able to unleash your full strength and would be toyed around with. Amongst my master's subordinates, I am the most useless one. The Black Dragon said, thus, I am in charge of the outermost perimeter. The interior of this divine palace is extremely dangerous, especially that white fog. There is a danger of death. Once you enter, you must be careful. Once you feel that something is amiss, immediately shout, admit defeat. Although you will be chased out, at least you will be able to preserve your life. I understand. Thanks. Dongbua Shui-ing laughed. He could feel the goodwill of the Black Dragon. After all, Ancestor Black Wind was an ancestor of the Xia people. He was still relatively lenient towards the transcendence of the Xia people. This was also the reason why Jing Xiu, Palace Lord Chun, and the rest did not stop Dongbua Shui-ing. However, Dongbua Shui-ing was ultimately still too weak. His frontal attacks were not even in the top 10 of the demigod rankings, let alone Mountain Lord He and the rest. Mountain Lord He, faction head Si Kong Yang, and the rest would not be able to do anything here. They would be defeated and have to leave helplessly. One could imagine the might of the attacks here. If he was not careful, Dongbua Shui-ing might lose his life. Dongbua Shui-ing walked towards the palace alone. The huge black dragon that was entrenched outside the palace was secretly worried. He was very optimistic about Dongbua Shui-ing. A Saint Transcendent was already so powerful. This was an elite of the Xia people. He was afraid that Dongbua Shui-ing would lose his life inside. That would be too much of a pity. Dongbua Shui-ing walked past the door and entered the main hall of the palace. The surroundings were still filled with white fog. Amen? Dongbua Shui-ing furrowed his brows as he sensed his surroundings. His gravity domain had also enveloped the surroundings. Although he did not activate it, he was still carefully sensing his surroundings. His gravity domain could only envelop this main hall. Any further, and it would be obstructed by an invisible array. The array within this Black Wind Deity Palace is actually able to obstruct my gravity detection. Dongbua Shui-ing was very shocked. Gravity was extremely hard to obstruct, and the difficulty of obstructing it was no less than obstructing his extreme piercing. Moreover, this Black Wind Deity Palace is also obstructing my extreme piercing. This deity palace was enveloped by an invisible force. Dongbua Shui Ying had tried using his true meaning of extreme piercing, but he was also unable to penetrate through it. This made Dongbua Shui Ying even more curious. Back then, the reincarnators from the temporal temple had also made preparations in advance. That was why they purchased precious arrays to obstruct Dongbua Shui Ying. However, Ancestor Black Wind was different. The Black Wind deity palace that he built had existed for hundreds of thousands of years. It had obstructed generations of transcendence from the Xia people, as expected of a powerful mage that could suppress an era. Even after he died, the deity palace that he left behind still caused generations of transcendence from the Xia people to be helpless against it. Dongbua Shui Ying exclaimed inwardly. At the same time, he became even more cautious of his surroundings. A long spear had already appeared in his hand. Snow Eagle, be careful. I can sense a unique existence spying on you. He is right beside you. A ripple was transmitted into Dongbua Shui Ying's mind. The source of the ripple was the greenish-gray wristband on his wrist. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.